I don't navigate social situations well as an autistic person. So far, this seems fine. This seems reasonable. Do your worst. I have nothing left to lose. Is it that you've been exiled from Destiny's community? Or is it that you're a content creator and you haven't got anything about you to actually make it on your own? An affair his wife didn't know the extent of, and he said he was never going to tell her.
He wants people to know the secret. He wants to embarrass Melina and other women involved.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to call it how I see it. Some of this seems a bit like a scorned woman.
I think when he said that, I think it was out of pocket. I think it was out of line.
I think that optically, it just looks fucking terrible on Destiny's part. Because I knew he abused Anna, I knew he lied to his wife, and I'm a feminist. It's what built my Are you laughing at that?
No.
Okay. Just to clarify, Stephen has messaged me this. Oh, this is awful. I can't believe it. I can't believe he did this. But at some point, you got to take the out of your mouth and go and find another source of fucking food. Read the first few bits and then you read the next few bits. We'll figure it out, okay?
Let's start on why is this on Patreon?
Well, listen, I don't want to get too tinfoil, but as many people that are coming to the Patreon as possible, the better, right? That's like a marketing gimmick as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm like. That shit is pretty cringe to put this shit on Patreon. That's all I'm saying. When you're getting criticized for clout sharking hard and some of that other stuff, and you throw it up on Patreon, kind of looks a little bit weird. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the other thing I wanted to say as well before we get into this is I watched you responding to that Lav panel, the 6-on-1 Lav panel, whatever. You were one of the only people that actually, I think, understood where I was coming from with the points about Patreon. And then it turned out she'd lied and she deleted posts and she did have nudes on there all along.
Yep. So for anybody that's unaware of the context, there was a panel that Chud Logic was on where he asked a pretty basic question about Lav's Patreon, because Lav made this statement that, I'm just going to have educational. It looks like my connection is still fucked. This is really nice.
It sounds fine to me.
Okay, great. Lav made the point I'm just going to have the educational nudes and stuff on Patreon. And Chud was like, okay, well, what's on Patreon right now? And she said,
you say you're not selling nudes. What are you selling on there then? What is it?
There's nothing. It's I've literally just for this time been thanks for bearing with me while I make my first video.
What's the first video going to be?
It's gonna be basically sexual journalism about yoni steams, and I'm gonna be talking about it afterwards.
So is this process with your vagina going to be in the video?
Not in a pornography sense.
So your pussy's going to be on there, not in a porn way, in an educational way. Get the fuck out of here. This is total copium.
It's not for men though. I make content for women. My art and my lane is through the feminist lens. I have a ton of female
feminist
viewers.
Lens,
I have a ton of. Yes, I have. My community is completely.
I'm sure guys are going to go, this is through a feminist lens. I can't watch this. I can't jerk off to this. Come on, give me a fucking break.
And me and Chud were like, what? So you're telling me there is literally nothing at all on your Patreon right now? And she was like, yeah, there's no sexual content. There's no. And then Chud was like, I don't buy it. And the boy did some research. And let's just say history was rewritten quite recently.
She did post fucking nudes on her Patreon. She did, and she lied about it. She had posted nudes. She deleted it and lied about it to me on stream. What a fucking dishonest whore. She did fucking post nudes. Yeah, definitely.
As to the authenticity of that statement.
Yeah, basically, someone who, I don't know if they want to be named or not, they're in chat, but they posted the link in Discord, the archive link, which demonstrated this. So yeah, obviously it's frustrating because obviously the perception was Lav had done really well. And yeah, of course, there were some people like Forever going a bit schizo on her. But she just lied. Obviously if you want to win a debate, you can lie. That's an easy thing to do, isn't it? So,
yep.
Okay, I'm going to start reading this and then we'll talk about it. I'll read the first couple of paragraphs. So, well, there's a point at which I think it's natural to stop initially. So, I've taken a couple of days to think, away from the internet, away from my home and computer, spoken to multiple professionals, and have decided to close this casket publicly. Before I do, I want to be clear and concise in what I've learned and felt over the past week. An announcement. I will not be streaming anymore. effective immediately and possibly indefinitely. I'll perhaps participate in some debates, sparingly and as a guest appearance, but my focus will be on my YouTube channel, developing my own body of content. I'm not built for this panel world. I'm too aggressive to be as sensitive as I am. I make a fool of myself. I lose my message. I don't navigate social situations well as an autistic person, and I don't have enough practice under my belt to be able to reasonably put myself in a tricky social situations on stream. Maybe someday, probably not though. I'll be on this Patreon though. Twitter probably needs to go, but I cannot part with it. So, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
I think excuse me. I think the Patreon bit is a bit funny. But overall, not sure I believe her about the streaming anymore. And also, what I said earlier when I originally read it, the problem wasn't her streaming. The problem was like the way that she engaged with other people and online communities. So when she says, I'll perhaps be participating in debates, like that was a large part of the issue, was that in debates you weren't learning some of the things that you should or shouldn't say, why you should or shouldn't say them. Like nobody had issues with your Overwatch streams on your channel. Like nobody, I don't know. It's weird. It feels like she's like saying she won't do something that nobody asked her to stop doing. So yeah, that was my problem.
Yeah, sure. I think that, I mean, first of all, you know, just to make the obvious point, obviously, if the internet is getting on top of you and you're having these issues, yes, you need to step away. Like, this is the normal thing to do if it's getting on top of you, and it's healthy to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? The issue is that, like, yeah, it's as she said herself, to be honest, she's extremely aggressive on panels and goes hard for people, but then doesn't like that in return. She kind of wants to have it both ways, where she gets to be aggressive, but also have the sympathy when someone's aggressive to her, which just doesn't ever really work in the internet, right?
Yeah, it's yeah. But yeah, this seems like a piece of advice that a lot of people are giving her for a while, and it's cool to see, you know, if she's hopefully going to try it. But I mean, there's been several times she said she's going to try to step away, and it doesn't work out. Let's hope that she can reassess a little bit better this time.
Okay. Why don't you just read through like the next part, the next like one, two, three, like 4 paragraphs or lines.
Okay. And then, so this is that this world has taken up my life. That's where I'm starting.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. This world has taken up my life to my detriment. I've worked hard. I'm addicted to approval. I'm addicted to proving myself. All of this hurts me. I cannot stop. I couldn't stop. Excuse me. I have to stop. I have dreams outside of the online. Dreams outside of the online that I need to pursue. Okay. Overall, the narcissistic world of entertainment has not bode me well. Excuse me. I left the music industry for the same reason. Something I thought was fun turned into an ego feed, turned into self-harm, turned into me spiraling. I don't want to be famous. I don't want these eyes on me. It hurts, but it's addicting. To someone like me who grew up without parents, to have eyes on me, the potential for love, the potential to prove I'm worthy of attention and adoration and love, it's heroin. But I can't get that from you guys. Ultimately, it's fickle. I can only get that from me. And then it seems like this goes on to another thing.
Yeah, sure. The trouble I'm finding with this so far is there isn't enough for me to get into my, you know, vicious hatred of women. So I'm not. This all seems pretty reasonable. This so far. Okay. Well, I've seen some bits, so I know what's coming to a degree. But so far, this seems fine. This seems reasonable. You know, she's saying she's taking a break. She's saying that the online world is very narcissistic and there's the ego aspect and all this stuff. This is all stuff I kind of broadly agree with in terms of analysis. So I don't really have much criticism or disagreement. This all seems fine to me.
I agree. I agree with your assessment of it. It's yeah, I think it's the online entertainment does bode to a I'm not sure if I would call it narcissism. I honestly don't know what half of these psych terms mean anymore. So many people use them in different ways, but it, bodes well with a very specific way of looking at it. And it seems like she's expressed that she can't really handle that. And that's a perfectly fine thing to be like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Next,
So,
next
okay,
lines.
here we go. But without further ado, what you all came for. I don't care about the safety of keeping this inside my mouth and chest. Do your worst. I have nothing left to lose. It sucks to come out, it does. It sucks to be a woman who comes out about someone bigger than you. This is my second time. Unfortunately, men in power or with big platforms seem to have a propensity to abuse it. This time is different. This time for a week straight, day and night, I had hundreds of thousands of people trying to gaslight me or just downright hurling abuse at me. Going public with sexual instances is embarrassing, and even more embarrassing when someone tries to come forward with that information for you. People have decided to relay my personal story with Stephen that I told a friend privately. I should not trust friends online, and I'm going to lay it out for you concisely, and I'm never going to speak of it again. Stephen and I did not have sex. We hooked up. I was nervous because I'd not been with many uncircumcised men. He was fine with that. Why do I have to think about Destiny's cock? What the fuck?
Hey,
I went.
man.
I went. Let me finish. Let me finish this bit. I went home after. I felt good about what happened. I did not open my relationship with Stephen. I did not close it because of Stephen. Okay.
So how do you feel about where was this specific line? How does it feel that she's a woman who comes out about somebody who's bigger than her for the second time, and that it's a man in power with such a big platform with a propensity to abuse it? How does
So-
that make you feel?
So first of all, I need to go back to that video and rewatch that segment about the is it the Gundaka allegations, because I didn't really understand it the first time I watched it. I was a bit distracted, so I'm going to rewatch it after I finish talking to you. But my frustration with that, I guess, is that she has kind of flip-flopped a lot on this, on what she actually is saying, because she said, first of all, he's like Harvey Weinstein. And by the way, for anyone that doesn't realise, Harvey Weinstein was convicted of rape in the 3rd degree and sexual assault in the 1st degree. So if you're saying someone is like Harvey Weinstein, I would say that you're probably claiming they've done something at least similar to that, right? So,
Correct.
so that's the way I see it. So in any case, I think it's stupid to say that. She said that actually everything was consensual, everything was fine. But now she's saying actually, no, he is... What was it she said exactly? Abuse. Basically, he's abusing, his platform and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think that, like, I would need to... I've said this from the start. If there was a video of Destiny raping a woman, what can I do? I watch it and I'm like, yeah, this is terrible. Like, what can I say? I haven't seen any evidence to substantiate the claim that Destiny is, like, substantively abusing his platform. I think that personally he makes like reckless decisions with women that I personally wouldn't make, or maybe have made in the past and learned from. But I just don't see this evidence of abuse, like he's using his platform to curry sexual favors from people or something like that. That's my take on it, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I feel like I agree with that. I feel like the only thing that I have to kind of put into this is that it feels well, I'm not sure if I'm getting ahead of you, but like when they go into, people have decided to relay my personal story with Steven that I told a friend privately. I should not trust friends online. Didn't she tell like MrGirl and stuff a bunch of details about Anna and Steven and shit like this? I thought I'd have to perhaps go back over it, but I feel like even ABBA talked about this, how often they're just constantly trading shit in the background, each other's
Yes.
secrets. And it's like, I don't know, that's on you, where it's like, that's the people you keep are trading secrets around and stuff. I don't have these problems because I don't tell people who are going to tell other people things.
Well, sure, and this is the thing. If you look at what's happened in the tides of this drama, a lot of it is Lav leaking stuff.
Yep.
Lav leaked Anna DMs. Lav leaked MrGirl DMs to Destiny. Like, these are two things that I know 100% happened. But like, who knows what? If someone has demonstrated a propensity to leak private DMs, that to me would indicate that they're not a good person to tell secrets to, because they're probably going to tell other people. So she is extremely guilty of like share. Maybe not. I mean, I don't know the exact nature. Obviously, I know she goes into talk about some stuff which we can get to. But it seems that she's got this propensity to be quite willing to share what should be private information. And Anna expressed frustration, the fact that she'd confided things in Lav, which Lav then went to speak about publicly. And the final point on it is, sometimes you will speak privately to someone off the record. That's the whole fucking point of off the record. Is you are saying things that you know you can't substantiate, but you've got a concern about, and you might say it a bit more openly, a bit more freely. But that doesn't mean you're going to make the claim publicly, because you can't substantiate it, and that's obviously wrong.
Exactly. Like if I don't know, believed that your content was cringe and misogynistic and racist in nature, I would just say it in public because it's true. But if I wanted to say that it was cringe, misogynistic, and problematic in nature, right? Like if you want to, if you had a hunch, if we were speaking friend to friend, person to person, and we were just kind of like, I don't know about the vibes on this or that, and then I was just speaking to you one to one, I would be far more likely to make a statement like X person is cringe or Y person is cringe for doing X and Y. But like, we know that I'm not trying to prove it to anybody or anything like that. It's more of just like a hunch and that kind of unspoken communication. So there definitely is a separate context when we have private conversations versus public ones. So to just leak private conversations as if it was made with like the consideration and carefulness of a public statement, I agree, is short-sighted.
And then you put pressure on the person, and sometimes people can look really bad because they've said something privately, but it's like, in some ways it's unfair, because you're putting pressure on the person to then go, you've said this, we'll substantiate it. And it's like, I knew I couldn't, so I never said it publicly. So
exactly. So I never said it publicly. That's why I said it privately.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, one quick point on this, which is sort of a tangent, I guess, but like, obviously there's the Anna sexting thing, which I think we've got a similar take on. My take, it was really reckless and stupid, and this idea of like, oh well, no, there was things in DMs that were said that made it acceptable, which I think he said to you. My position on that is like, if a friend came to me and said, this girl's a psycho and she's stalking me, I was like, yeah, don't have contact with her, she sounds crazy. If a year later they came to me and they said, oh, you know that girl I talked about, we've talked in DMs and it's cool now and we're sexting again, I would still tell that person, don't. That's a bad idea. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I would as well. My take is this, and I think I can run through this pretty quick. I don't think he should be sexting her. I think it is bad. I think from all of the information that I have available to me, it is a bad idea. It will result in worse outcomes for, at the very least, the other party, if not potentially both. And the claim I believe he made was between public and significantly private information. There seems to be evidence he's using to come to the conclusion that it's ethical, or that it's at least morally neutral at this point. And I would say that is it's very difficult to imagine what that evidence would be to make it ethical from my position. So I'm still with the current position that he should not do it. It is not a moral thing to do. It would be it's so difficult for me to imagine what I would need to see to say that it is morally okay to do that. So yeah, it's more than likely, I would say, even with perfect information, that he should still cut contact. So yeah, that is my position.
But the thing is this, and this kind of obviously talking about this, but it's like, I feel like you can make that criticism and you can say that, and that's a pretty substantive criticism that you're making. But because you're not willing to call it like sexual abuse or something like that, it's like you're somehow defending Destiny or like something like that.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard somebody address that to me, but that is yeah. Let me address that, because that's an interesting thought. If I do believe that is the case, the thing that I've been addressed with is that people don't feel like I'm condemning him hard enough with that information. The problem is you set yourself up for kind of a very difficult situation. So they had a private relationship that went public. And then it seems like they agreed to make it private, tried to keep it private again, right? That seems to, of course, skipping a lot of steps, but for the most part, that's what happened. Do people have a right to make their relationship private after it was public? I would say yes. And so if they have the right to make their relationship private after it's been public, do I have a right as somebody that looked at their public relationship, said, this shit ain't it, this is not ethical, and then they both go like, listen, we made it private, it seems to be working. Do I have a right to be able to go, show me what your DMs and your private communications are for the last 8 to 12 months? Otherwise, you are an abuser. Do I have the right to do that? In my opinion, it could be up to other people's determination. I don't think so. I don't think that I am owed 8 to 12 months of communications. Otherwise, I have the green light to just say you're an abuser. Because otherwise, I think you put yourself into a situation where any relationship that becomes public is doomed to stay in the public. Otherwise, people are gonna have their name dragged through the mud forever.
Yeah. Well, commonly in like the Me Too or abuse stuff that people would look at normally, it would normally be up to the victim for them to release their logs to show they've been abused. Like that's normally how it would work.
True.
And then obviously we get into the conversation between Max and Anna, you know, which we don't have to sort of go into in any detail, but obviously there was a sort of push there, I guess you could say, to sort of release the logs. And it seems like Anna wasn't particularly interested in doing that. So, you know, what can you do? And Anna now doesn't seem to think that Destiny is an abuser. I don't know what Anna's position is exactly at the moment. I don't know if you've got any insights.
I don't know. I have no idea either.
Okay. Well, do you want to read the next part from what I didn't anticipate? And
hold up. What I didn't anticipate was becoming a part of Steven's orbit in the way I did. I did not knowingly consent to a scenario of being evaluated for my performance, being told I brought views and clicks and content, and existing in the social contract I did. After having a sexual dynamic with him, and I didn't realize how many of the women in the orbit had the same social contract I did. This was enough to just make me feel strange. I feel like there's, even though I didn't read much, there's kind of a fair bit to dig in there.
I mean, I just think, have you not seen Destiny's content? Like having watched Destiny's content, like, you know, people coming on and arguing, having contentious conversations. This is just kind of part and parcel of like his whole thing. And my broad take on this is that the reality is there's going to be some women that just cannot have any sort of relationship with someone who's a public figure. You know, and maybe, you know, I think Anna probably falls into that category, but the tiger's out of the cage somewhat. You know, it seems like she really struggles with the scrutiny. Lav obviously struggles with the scrutiny. So I think that, you know, there are some people that like you're not going to be able to have that engagement with. And yeah, of course, there's a duty of care somewhat to Steven to like make sure he's contacting people, making sure they're okay if they're having a lot of pressure and attention, which he seems to somewhat do. But also there's responsibility on you to look and have like due diligence to go, is this for me? Can I deal with this? Can I handle this? And if you can't, don't get involved, recuse yourself, and don't progress forward. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like what we're doing is we're there's a lot of the signs of I think people are seeing a lot of the signs or the what would be normally the consequences of if Steven was engaging and he might be. I was told that there's details that might criticize Steven later inside of the thing, and I'm ready to get to that if there's, you know, substance to those. I'm ready to hear those out. But it seems like there's people are looking at signs or consequences that might be at play if Steven was engaging in unethical practices with these women or with like labs specifically, and are saying, well, because this is a consequence of what might have happened if Steven was unethical, it must be that Steven is unethical. But in reality, that so far that has been proven to me personally, right, is that there seems to be no evidence of Steven engaging in unethical practices for the communication of how these quote social contracts go down, right? There's no obligation that isn't being met, but there is consequences that are indicative of if he hadn't communicated them, which is just that these people feel like they're being targeted. They feel like they don't know what they're getting themselves into. They feel like these things, and it doesn't feel like we're having the conversation about the personal responsibility. So it's like, well, if I feel like I'm being targeted, if I feel like I'm being bullied, if I feel strange about this, interaction, having had a sexual dynamic with this guy, and then now having a dynamic where he's not defending me in public or something like that, he must have done something wrong. It's not like so much of a, I don't know. It's actually genuinely similar to the to some of my takes about the conversation that Destiny's recently had with other Black content creators about the Black people stuff. Like we talk a lot about the systemic, the men in power, the whatever, that it feels like whenever we encounter a problem with these women feeling strange or weird about this relationship, we only look at the men in power, where it's like, oh, actually, maybe you could change the way that you engage with this environment, because maybe you're just not cut out for public scrutiny of debate performance. Not very many people are. It's a very stressful thing. Maybe you're not cut out for this, maybe you're not cut out for that. And so I think it's just we got very used to looking at all of our problems through a systemic top down, you have more power than me lens, rather than what can I also do to change the outcomes for this.
Yeah, sure. And the other thing I've pointed out as well in this, people try and put in this like Hollywood dynamic with the Harvey Weinstein thing, but the big difference I think there is like if like a starlet goes to Hollywood, she has to interact with bigger figures in order to get a role at all. You can't just go to Hollywood and be an actor by yourself. You have to engage in the community, and that can leave you ripe for abuse. You've invested a lot. You've got a flat or an apartment. You've got a little job there, also, whatever. And it's not the same as streaming. You don't have the same investment.
Yeah. Also, it's just like genuinely not the same level of power. Like if Destiny blackballs, I mean, Destiny has like excised some of the largest streamers on the platform from his community, and they're like 10 times bigger than him, right? In comparison to like a Weinstein situation where it's like they can straight up nuke your career from orbit. You're never going to work in the entire you're not going to work as a sound guy if he doesn't want you to. Yeah, it can be there's levels to it as well.
Yeah, there's someone like Denims who I think had a very fractious break from Destiny's community and had a lot of shit from him and his community, and she's like a 5 to 1,000 view Andrea now, like quite happily as far as I know, streaming. So she's I think that sometimes it's like, is it that you've been excised from Destiny's community, or is it that you're a fucking shit content creator and you haven't got anything about you to actually make it on your own? Like, I don't know.
It legitimately, it could be either. Yeah, you need to discover that for yourself.
Okay, so let's read on a bit. This was enough to just make me feel strange. Another thing that made me feel strange was when I begged Stephen to do as little as tell his community to go easier on me on the platforms he could control. He deletes some of his fans' criticism of him on the Reddit. I thought it would be easy. Apparently it wasn't. And I was publicly embarrassed for weeks, being gaslit that I couldn't take accountability for how dumb and irritating and annoying I was. And I just had to admit to all these things, and then we'd reevaluate. Stephen even said I was using Dara abuse tactics when it was my feelings. Didn't Stephen do a whole anti-misogyny thing to try and stop all this shit Lav was getting? Am I misremembering?
I think this was that Lab situation was actually, I don't like bringing up Anna too much, but it is a situation pretty similar to what I saw during the Anna situation, where everybody had an opinion on how he should handle the situation in massively different ways, right? So when it came to Lav, right, there was a bunch of people saying he's a not a misogynist. Yeah, he was a misogynist who was like enabling so much dogpiling of her. And then there was other people saying the exact opposite. They're like, he's a simp for protecting her and shit. And no matter what he did, he would get so many different angles of people saying that he was doing so many different things, no matter what no matter what he tried, including when he exploded, called her a dumb bitch. Oh, you're a misogynist. And when he went, with the kid gloves, you're a simp. So I think getting our strategy straight, or getting a strict understanding of exactly what the interactions were is pretty important to that, because otherwise you can just kind of do this. You could just straight up say, Steven and it was essentially enabling public harassment and embarrassment of me the entire time. But it's like he also had just massive, things on his subreddit saying that he was simping for you like the entire time. How do you parse through like that wasn't true, that what was real and what was not according to your argumentation? I don't know. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't for Steven. You could spin this however you like, and I kind of didn't. It's something that I'm not a huge fan of, is how that works. So
Yeah,
from my
sure.
perspective, I think he went too easy on her. That's my if people want my 2 cents, I think he went too easy on her personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Stephen it's like he'll look at, say, what's happening to Lav, and then he'll spin off like an analysis of misogyny. And the thing is, it's like, listen, let's put the Giga Chad memes aside for a second. Like, the Kuma shit is cringe sometimes. A conventionally attractive woman will come on stream, and everyone in chat is doing the fucking Kuma memes. Yeah, that shit's pathetic and cringe, and I hate that. And it is fucking misogynistic, unironically, right? And I think that shit's like pathetic and wrong. But like, I think that there's other times where there's misogyny is attributed to what is someone just coming on and saying some stupid fucking shit, you know?
Yep.
You know, and there's men that come on and they will say stupid shit and they'll get called out for being stupid. I guess the one difference you could point to is I don't think if a man says something stupid, there's this kind of nature of saying like, man moment or like, I think there's definitely an element there where women have maybe got an extra bit of luggage to carry in terms of if they say something stupid. So I think that's reasonable. But I think sometimes the criticism in and of itself isn't misogynistic. You need to get to the meat of what the criticism is. And if it's, fair and relevant or whatever, even if a bit harsh, then that's just criticism.
Well, I feel like that's the issues where people will say it's a bit harsh. Even if the criticism is fair, there can always be an angle of it's a bit harsh. And when you can say it's a bit harsh, then you can say it's misogynistic or racist, right? The reason why you're a bit harsh is because you're a racist or because you're a misogynist.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's harsh, but it's not to do with misogyny. But then maybe sometimes it is, perhaps.
For some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, like it can absolutely happen. But.
Okay. Let me read this next bit and then I'll let you take over. So the thing that made me feel the weirdest was finding out Stephen was sexting and still seeking sex from Anna. That's a new claim, I think, but probably true. I don't know. Who for years?
Sex?
Yeah, is that true? I don't know if you know anything about that.
I haven't heard anything about that. The seeking sex, but the sexting I heard, obviously, but the seeking sex, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, I say probably true because in my mind, I think if you're sexting someone, I
think it is a fair thing to.
Yeah, but obviously, yeah. And for years, he publicly embarrassed and acknowledged was not only crazy but also completely obsessed with him. And the consensus in the community has been that she's a psycho stalker, and Stephen's done little to nothing to quell that idea and exploit Anna's sobs and mental breakdown for views. This is abusive. It was the cherry on top that nobody knew about, and the nuts sprinkled over everything that was Anna told me she felt like she had to do it in order to feel safe from Stephen. This resonated.
Okay, so a couple of quick things from my I haven't gone over the Anna refresher course, so anything I might say here, please, anybody in Chud Logics or my chat, correct me if you feel like I have the narrative skewed. So when I listen to this, from my perspective, a lot of many of the different strategies that Stephen tried, one of the larger ones was him trying to shut down all conversation about Anna. So not necessarily providing pushback against people, like calling her crazy or anything, but saying like, if you speak about her at all, just, time out, stop talking, shut up, and stuff like that. So maybe when they say has done little to nothing to quell that idea. Maybe that's what they mean when they're referencing little to nothing to quell the idea that they're a psycho stalker. But the point about exploiting Anna's sobs and mental breakdowns for views, that one I would have to talk with them specifically about that, because I feel like what they'd be appealing to was like the intervention streams and stuff where they would like, I think at one point they got like, what was it, that person who was studying to be a therapist or something, to have conversations with them and intermediate. And I don't feel like that was just exploiting Anna's sobs and mental breakdowns for views. I feel like he was trying to make their relationship either amicable or something, and he just tried like so many different strategies and in different ways of going about it. I haven't seen anything firsthand that says Destiny was trying to exploit Anna's mental breakdown for views, but I don't know, I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I barely touch. I kind of got a stick and touched it with the end of a stick, and then a bunch of fucking autistic DGGers were screeching at me in chat because I don't really know what was going on. So, you know, I think this is one of those dramas where you need to really know the law and understand the law to like know what the right analysis is or like what to say, etc. Like any drama, but this is particularly because of how complex it is.
Yeah,
and the ins and outs. Yeah.
One.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, did you want to say something? Because somebody brought something. Okay, so somebody, Moncho the magician brought up in my chat, and it was a good point that I just forgot about. He cut off Zerka while Zerka was trying to farm Anna. That was a pretty big one. I remember waiting in on that one, where there'll be times where people will not fully understand the Anna situation, and then try and get like really involved, and Destiny had tried to curtail those situations. You could say it was for his own benefit or whatever, but I feel like this goes against the narrative that he's just trying to get her to break down for views and stuff, because otherwise he would have handled that situation dramatically differently. I don't know. I would have to be in a room with somebody actually making this claim for me to properly get why they think he's doing it and why my current perception is that he isn't. But that's kind of my current perception, is that I haven't seen anything where he's trying to intentionally exploit any of this outside of like the obvious memes that he did in moments, because somebody brought up the call me princess moments and shit like that. So that definitely, if we want to say that, him like putting the dark triad meme in DGG at all, if we want to say that is the exploiting Anna's sobs and mental breakdown for views, then sure. But I when I hear this, I think of something more insidious than making an emote inside of your .gg site.
Yeah, to me, that would look like, in my mind, like maybe bringing her on stream where she's really distraught and like just berating her and having a go at her, or like watching her content and like viciously attacking her or something like that. Something along those lines. And I don't think maybe that exists. I've not seen every fucking second of content. I've seen barely any content about the Anna drama, but you know,
it's also old, man. Like I've forgotten a lot of the stuff that has happened. So it might have happened. I just might have forgotten about it. Because it's like 2 years in the making, and there's a lot of stuff to it.
Max, listen to me. Do you understand that we've been fine for a year?
Okay.
So
someone slipped me a clip, but I'll watch that after I've done this. Okay, so now, well, it's your turn to read, but it's the big one. Do you wanna read it? I can read it.
No, I want you to read it. Your voice is better for the big ones. Right?
Okay. The first time Stephen and I spoke off stream, he decided to tell me this huge career-ending secret, and I bartered with my own secret. He alluded to it in messages, baiting me, and I had to know. We were strangers, and he told me, I'm not keeping an abuser's secrets. I'm done. It was about sexual indiscretions about someone other than his wife, an affair his wife didn't know the extent of, and he said he was never going to tell her. He didn't want to ruin anything because he had jumped the gun and broken up with Melina before he knew this other woman had wanted him. She didn't, and he went back. I thought, okay, this is not really my business, and I don't know Melina. Steven says he doesn't care if this gets out because it only hurts the other woman. He said this on stream multiple times. So alas, I'm not going to mention the other woman because this has nothing to do with her. And here I am, a stranger, holding this secret. Me, a stranger, pleading with him to tell his wife about his misconduct. I say secrets hurt people. Resentment builds. He assures he's fine and will probably never tell her. I ask if this is going to affect him. He repeats for the 70th time to me he is a sociopath and he doesn't and won't care. Make no mistake, he wants people to know this secret. He wants to embarrass Melina and the other woman involved. It's why he teases it on stream. It's why he tells every orbiter. It's why he told me, a stranger he wanted to have sex with. People with secrets they don't want people to know. Do not tease it on stream with 15,000 people.
So I could say as an orbiter, this is the first time I've ever heard of this. And honestly, I don't even know what was just said. I'm going to need to go back. Wait, so just to be clear, it's that Destiny was going to leave Melina for another woman, and then the other woman didn't want Destiny, and so he didn't leave Melina? Is that what happened?
I think so. I don't really, just to be clear as well, Steven has never revealed this information to me.
Yeah.
I have very limited contact with Steven broadly. I sometimes chat to him in DMs about things, but normally content-focused stuff. We don't really speak about his or my personal life together. I've got no fucking clue what this is. I don't know what's going on. This is all news to me.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck even this is. I think I explained it right, but I don't know. It was about a sexual indiscretions. Other than his wife, an affair. An affair? Aren't they? I forget which one. Are they poly or open? I forget which is which. So an affair. So it usually, if you have like something open, it's the only way to really have an affair is if the person tells you to not fuck or interact with somebody, and then you choose to do it, right?
Yes.
Usually? Okay. So I guess we are assuming that Melina didn't want. See, this is weird, bro. Melina didn't want Steven to interact with a woman that Steven wanted to interact with, and that they didn't know the extent of. And he said he was never going to tell her. He didn't want to ruin anything because he had jumped the gun and broken up with Melina before he knew the other woman had wanted him. So he had broken up with Melina before he had confessed his love for this mystery woman. She didn't want him, and he went back. I thought, okay, this is not really my business, and I don't know Melina.
Well, first of all, I mean, there's a lot going on here. The first thing I want to say is I'm not keeping an abuser's secrets. I'm done. Just because someone's an abuser doesn't give you a right to reveal their secrets if it's not, in my opinion at least, relevant to the...
Spoken like a true abuser, Chud Logic. You don't want your secrets revealed live on stream right now? I got them all. Don't let him convince you, chat. He said a lot of naughty things. I'm going to leak it.
Well, okay. I'm going to get a bit TMZ, but there's nothing I can do about it, okay? Right?
There's nothing he can do. He has to go TMZ.
I have
just
to.
This once.
I have to. I'm going to let it all out all at once. But there was, obviously, I think there was an open secret, I guess, that Destiny was having some marriage troubles. And there was I think Melina moved or something, and people were like, what's going on? Right? Do you remember this? It was a couple of months ago, I think.
Bro, as much as people love to say I'm the drama Andy, I do not give a fuck about relationship drama at all.
I don't either, really.
But I mean, all of this is news to me. Somebody says that oh, Destiny's this is happening. I just go to sleep. I don't care at all. Relationship shit. Every bit of this is new to me. The idea that they were having rocky shit in the background that Melina and Destiny every bit of it is news to me. It's not something I really typically care about. I care about whether or not it's racist to have you do Abel Noir. That's what I care about. That shit is funny. Not this shit. I'm an NPC right now.
Okay, well, I've got an anonymous drama frog saying this. I'm just repeating what they're saying. It was the Darius drama. Darius was going to break up with Sushia and move in with Melina in Texas was the idea. I don't know anything about this. Do you know anything about this?
I heard about the Darius's interactions with Melina. Why would moving in with her matter? Like be with her? Like romantically or?
I don't fucking know. I don't know about any of this shit. Listen, mate. I don't really, like I say, the TMZ thing. I don't really pay much attention to like the ins and outs of this relationship, that relationship. Okay. I don't fucking know about any of this shit. Anyway, I think the point being is that listen. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. This is something that was passed to me anonymously via Drama Frog. I think we should just move on. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. We don't have enough surrounding. I think it's funny though that we're some of the biggest drama Andes out here. We don't have enough context for like the actual random fucking relationship drama. What we really care about is the spicier stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of funny.
But nonetheless, what I'd say here is I think that keeping wait, Destiny will come after you. Destiny did a little mention of Land Manifesto and Reddit. I just want to address this thing, Alex. You've been fucking piping up in chat, okay, about this fucking. Me and Relly are talking about this manifesto that's about Destiny, and we're giving our honest takes. If you think we're controlled, if you think we've got a secret script, if you think I'm a hologram controlled by Destiny or some shit, I don't know what to tell you. These are my honest, true takes based on the information presented in front of me. Speaking to Relly, okay. Now, I think that it's crazy to say that just because someone's an abuser, you can then reveal their secrets. This revelation seems completely inconsequential and unrelated to any of the drama at hand. Okay?
Correct.
And the other thing as well is that, like, what does this tell us about Destiny? Is this supposed to be some damning thing about Destiny? Like,
so to be fair to her and her narrative is that Destiny is somebody that gets off on the public humiliation of women. And so if her argument is that, and then that's where his abuse ultimately stems from, this does kind of make sense for why she would want it released, not why it would be justified to release such a thing, but especially with how they primed it. But the idea is supposed to be that Destiny gets off on the public humiliation of women. And I believe, in this, he wants people to know the secret. He wants to embarrass Melina and other women involved. It's why he teases on stream. Right. And so that's her narrative that she's trying to build. So that would probably be why she disclosed it.
Yeah, right. So, this idea that he wants to embarrass Melina is quite important, right?
And then he gets off on embarrassing women around him.
Okay. Okay.
So that would be the idea, but I agree with you on your earlier point that just because somebody is like or somebody who's a piece of shit, let's say in general, not even just like an abuser, a piece of shit, whatever we categorize as that, doesn't mean we should be disclosing their secrets. But from their point of view, I don't think that's just the only reason why they disclose it. It's because of that.
Okay.
It's the reason they disclose it.
Okay. So I'll listen. If you want me to read it, I'll read it. Okay. No. It sounds like you want me to read.
I do want to, because your voice is better than mine, bro. You got that.
Well, obviously I disagree.
EU buff.
Obviously I disagree, and I'm, would argue with you about it, but we don't have to because I'm happy to accommodate. Okay, so let's keep going. So, a day or two before meeting in person, we spoke on the phone again, and I'd asked him about his relationship history because it seemed very toxic to me, being that he was cheating on his wife and the only other public relationships I knew of online were toxic. And he told me this really fun story of this time he and his ex worked together and he was sleeping with another co-worker. His ex went to all of their bosses to tell him Stephen was sleeping with a co-worker, and he lied to his boss about it, denying it, saying she was a psycho and psychotic, and she sobbed and freaked out in the office and got fired, and he liked it, and they continued to have sex and brought up the situation during sex because he literally got off on it. I thought he told me this to be edgy the way men often do, but it made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't know how to respond. We hung up moments later and I felt confused, but we'd already made the plans to hang out.
Mm.
What the
I
fuck is
mean,
this about? What is all this? I don't understand.
okay, so if we just assume that, so like they're trying to build off the I don't want to say narrative in a dismissive way, because I do want to take some of this seriously. I do not want to just go like, well, I don't like Lav, or Lav is unreasonable or something. So I'm just not going to take anything they say to heart. But the frame that they're trying to possibly illustrate us of Stephen, with the past, or the last section to this section, being of the consistent stories of humiliation, or information of humiliation, that he seems to get off to. All of this would be very concerning if you had heard this, right? Like, I think me and you could probably agree with that. If Destiny had told us these things, all of this was true, and he had told us these things, it could be concerning, would it not?
Okay. So Destiny was like, oh yeah, there was this time I like fuck with this woman and fuck their shit up. Basically, I think I don't really understand the story and what happened. I'm confused because it's
Yeah,
a bit
me
confusing.
me me neither. It's
But
really
basically, yeah,
bizarre.
basically if he came to you and said, I fuck with this woman and it turned me on. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
it like turned me on to have to convince everybody around her that she was psycho and a psychotic weirdo. Yeah, that would be concerning for me. I'd be like, whoa, this guy's kind of fucking weird, um, for sure. So, and I think that's what their Lav is trying to communicate to us is happening. So, to be fair to her, if this did happen, I could 100% see her concern, and maybe even how she could read into current relationships that Destiny
Mm,
has with people in a specific way. Issues are, of course, I don't know if this is uh, so two major issues. I don't like jumping to the first one, but the first one obviously might not be telling the truth, but I let's not jump to that. It To be a little bit more charitable to both parties, it just might not be exactly how it was intended or how it went down. It might have been some edgy jokes, some weird memes, some whatever, in specific ways that he was playing certain things up or doing something, and then upon reflection, or looking back at it, is kind of like a game of telephone almost, and that you think that something was implied in a way it wasn't. So, without hearing or seeing, or having something tangible to grab onto with this, I'm not seeing anything that I can work with here. But I agree with the idea. It'd be concerning if Steven was just like telling me like, "Oh yeah, I love making women seem like they're fucking crazy in front of a bunch of people." Be like, "Yeah, it's pretty
sure.
fucking weird, dude."
Well, the thing is, as well, is I've got stories from my past where I treated women terribly,
Yep.
and I might tell them or talk about them, and I might not make it clear necessarily. This was very bad, guys. This was a bad thing to do. I might tell
Exactly.
it. I might tell it as in like do you know what I did one time? I fucking fucked this woman over rotten, and it's not because I'm saying, oh yeah, it's good and I'd do it again. It's just it's kind of a funny story, and in that the comedy comes from the fact that yes, I absolutely fucked with a woman that time, but I've moved a long way since then. And I
hmm
look back and does that
Also,
make sense? I don't know. Maybe it was
to,
that. I don't know.
no, also to your previous point a little bit earlier in this conversation, you also got to remember this is in private. And when you're
Mm,
having these things in private, right, you're not concerned with, okay, but just so we're clear that whatever shit, you can leave a lot more hanging and stuff like that, because it's a lot more of a casual conversation, like you said earlier, where you're not super concerned with, well, let's be certain that every single person involved and there is no misconceptions or whatever. You're just kind of riffing off. So when you say stuff like, for instance, yeah, I did this chick rotten, dude, this is kind of funny. Like, the joke is like that it kind of wasn't funny or whatever. And it's kind of like you grew from it and whatever. So there's a lot more subcontext that can be added that maybe didn't get read into, especially. I hate to do this. I really do hate to do this, but especially by somebody that earlier in this very document admitted that they don't know how to read personal social situations very well. So, I don't know. It's it's not right now we have an individual that made a document saying like, oh yeah, these social dynamics between people are fucking weird. It's caused me a lot of pain in my life, but also rely on my testimony for these social situations as to whether or not this guy is like a serial sexual abuser. And it becomes difficult to be able to understand exactly like where we should be extending the credibility without hard evidence. If we had hard evidence, then who the fuck cares? But
Yeah. The other
it's
thing to
tough.
point out too is obviously this happened like before we even started streaming, right? So in order for this to really significantly influence our analysis on his current behavior, we would need to assume that this story is indicative of like how he would behave today, and he's had no personal growth over the last 10 years. And for me, as someone who's a similar age to Stephen, in my early 20s, I was terrible to women. So like I would not act now the way I did 10 years ago with women. But yeah, you know, I think I've had a lot of personal growth and development since then, and I'm sure Stephen has too. So, I mean, I don't know if it's really valid to use this to analyze his current behavior, personally.
Yep.
Okay. So,
I agree.
Sorry. Okay, cool. So let's keep going. When we hung out, I asked him about Anna and Cherry. He'd repeat the usual, they're psycho. I love toxic women. It's exciting. It's good content. I think I scoffed. He tells me Anna was a stalker, but he's over it, again because he's a sociopath and he doesn't care much. That's the thing. Stephen is so charming, he could be saying literally anything and you feel like you're in on it. I thought, yeah, she's psycho, I'm different. He frequently repeated, we'll see how you'll turn out, like he either expected me to be psychotic, he was hoping I'd be, or I'd have to prove myself that I wasn't. I chose the last one. Didn't pan out, I guess, not the way he sees it. I didn't know they'd been sexting. If I'd have known, I wouldn't have continued to hang out with him because that's abusive, and I don't have sexual relationships with abusive men. So here's the problem with this. She's making a lot of like conclusions off the back of what she's seeing, right? Like she's saying things like, you know, he's a sociopath, like, he was expecting me to be psychotic. He was hoping I'd be, or I'd have to prove that I wasn't. These are all like pretty big extrapolations off of quite, in my opinion, limited information, which is obviously going to be influenced by her perception of Stephen based on her previous conversations. But the fact that it seems like now she's coming out and saying this, especially after Destiny has cut off ties and she's had a couple of embarrassing like moments, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to call it how I see it. Some of this seems a bit like a scorned woman. Listen.
Yeah, so this is usually why I suggest to people, if you're going to do something like that, you need hard evidence, something tangible, because otherwise it will always come down to character assessment. So like she was saying previously inside of the document that there is she's being analyzed from all these angles. This is going to necessarily happen because we have no other options unless we our options are don't even look into this at all, which I don't consider a real option, or and don't consider it at all, or like try our best to be able to piece together all of the information that we have available to us to try and make as holistic of a picture as possible while doing right by the gravity of the claims. And the issue is the gravity of the claims are so incredibly steep with very, very little to non-existent evidence outside of just character testimony that it pretty much is just like, okay, well, now Lav's character is on trial. Like you said, timing is important to this. The current context of the relationship is important to this. All of these things need to be looked at. This is why having that hard evidence or even some kind of soft evidence is really, really important to be able to try and give me anything I can work with to try and get on Lav's side here. But I'm just not seeing. Maybe there's some screenshots or something later inside of the thing. I have no idea.
I mean,
also, hold on,
maybe
I'll DM you something.
Okay.
Is there anything else you wanted to
add? No, I think that kind of covers it. And I think that like, you know, one thing that frustrates me is this idea that I'm just covering for Stephen because I'm covering for Stephen. I'm not like covering for Stephen in saying, I want to see evidence. This is how I operate. In every single fucking drama I've ever commented on, show me the fucking money. What can you prove to me, right? I'm not going to make out on the limb claims about anyone unless I can prove it. If there was a rumor going round that, well, maybe we shouldn't use Hasan because of the current thing. If there was a rumor going round that Vosh was out there sexually abusing
Wait, what
women,
current thing?
Well, no, the current thing we're going to get to in the document.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay. But yeah, if there was a rumor going around that Vosh is a sexual abuser, I'm not going to come on stream, even though it would probably be in my benefit to do so, because of my, somewhat association, I guess, now with Destiny, to repeat those claims and stuff like that. Because guess what? If I came on stream and I made claims about Vosh that weren't substantiated and I couldn't substantiate, I would get eaten alive by DG fucking
As
G.
you should.
As I
you
should. By DGG, they would come on and they would go, "Come on, Chud, you can't prove this. This is wrong. I don't like Vosh, but da da da." Like, it's not about the fucking personalities. Yes, there is I have a bias, obviously, because of my closeness, and there's a crossover. But there's also a bias for the truth and not wanting to say things that I can't prove or substantiate on stream. Okay.
And at the very least, the idea that that tool might be eventually weaponized against you with no evidence, right? The H3H3 route of like, oh yeah, this guy should be banned for X, Y, and Z, and then you do it yourself later, then you realize you're left holding the bag because you said that somebody should be banned for doing something with very little to no evidence that you yourself was accused of doing later. Setting the precedent of having significant evidence is necessary. But I don't think me or Chud are saying, my Discord, not yours, are saying that the perception, the optics are not lost on us. I am perfectly fine with somebody looking at me covering this and in very critically going, is this guy just simping for Destiny? You should do that. Right, I have an incentive to do that. There is an incentive to do that. So be critical of my analysis of this, and give me anything material that you think that I'm being too charitable towards Destiny with, and I'll engage with it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, and this is the frustration that I have, is when someone criticizes me, they don't say, "No, Chud, you're missing this piece of evidence that proves this." They just go, "You're a Destiny simp, you're a Destiny..." Exactly like fucking leftoids do. You're a Destiny orbiter, and that's why you're saying these things, It is literal fucking ad hominem shit, right? Where it's, you are this thing, therefore your analysis is invalid. Like, no, point to me where the analysis is invalid. What am I missing? What am I fucking missing? In all this drama, right, I've probably seen about 8 or 9 screenshots of DMs. That's all the evidence I've seen of everything.
Correct, yeah.
Everything else is just fucking speculation and testimony and he said, she said. It's fucking impossible. Sorry to go off on one, but let's continue.
Yep.
Okay. Fast forward. I reached out to Anna almost a week ago. I'm feeling low because DGG hates me and they're following me across platforms to leave nasty comments. And I'm starting to feel weird that Stephen gaslit me and uploaded the video of me crying on his YouTube. And she very willingly tells me they still have a sexual relationship. That's when I decided I'd never stream with him again. Anna tells me he told her he likes to watch me embarrass myself on stream. I remember the ex-wife story, the big secret. I remember the way I found out who he was, through the Anna streams being recommended to me on YouTube. He does. He likes this. And it's when I went on stream to say he was borderline abusive, I didn't have the balls to say it with my full chest. And I thought the power dynamic and lack of care he had for my well-being was uncomfortable enough to not stream with him anymore. Something I thought would be a relief to his community and neutral to Stephen. I immediately was met with disdain. People jumping down my throat telling me I was horrible for coming out about it. Very few people questioning why I'd said it. Or thinking critically about the power structure I felt I'd been in. Where he used his orbiters as content, teeing us up for vitriol and not controlling the narrative he could have easily controlled. Or at the very least told his community to stop mass linking pictures of me without makeup. I'd gone from 80 views to 1600 on my stream. But I stopped talking about it at 400. I didn't know the can of worms I was opening. I didn't understand the culture of DGG. I thought I'd had an idea, but this was big. Then Stephen went on stream and called Max a rapist and hurled that he was the most manipulative person he'd ever met and I was just his next victim. So let's just cover that now, I guess.
Okay. Something I want to cover kind of first because I had an issue with it. What do you think about Steven saying Max is a rapist? What is your opinion on that?
Okay, I think that is insane to me. I watched Supreme sort of address Destiny with this point, and obviously DGG were going, oh, but he said he's a rapist. My analysis has not changed since I first heard about that. My understanding of Mr. Girl's point is that consent is complicated, and by all accounts, what he did was rape, and what that actually suggests is that maybe calling things rape or having rape as the word we use to describe these situations isn't necessarily good because of what an emotive word it is. And there are absolutely times when you're with a woman and you don't get clear, explicit consent, and that can even be shady, or it could even be that you act in a way that someone else might look at and say, you didn't get explicit consent, so that was rape. Okay? That is my perspective on it. I think that Destiny is just going nuclear, and he's like, he's changed his position on it because of some analysis of, that I'm removing charitability or something. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but I think that's really out of order, personally.
So yeah, I would agree with you. I don't know why his opinion or why he said it, where it came from, if it was just because of a heated moment, maybe he saw something or whatever. But I reject the idea that Destiny actually does believe that in a calm state that that is just open and shut rape. He might say that it's rape by our current understandings, like MrGirl, I believe, says something the same. By our current societal definitions, it would be rape. But based on all of the nuanced understanding that I've seen Steven put into his analysis of sexual interactions, I don't think there's any way he would sit down, have a calm, reasonable conversation, and then say, yeah, that person's a rapist. So I think when he said that, I think it was out of pocket. I think it was out of line. And yeah, I think it was inappropriate.
Sure. Yeah. I think the problem is as well is that my perception of that is that Destiny is obviously like really fucking pissed off with Max and is therefore like removing some level of charitability or something like that. And well, he's not being charitable to me, so I'm not going to be charitable to him. The problem is that there's one analysis which I disagree with, but it's that Destiny is just trying to maliciously discredit Max's credibility, so that when Max comes out with this thing, he's got no credibility, he's a rapist. So I think that not only is it wrong from my analysis of it, I think that optically it just looks fucking terrible on Destiny's part. Although, listen, obviously I understand Mr. Girl in the video said what he said about the rape, and he said, did I commit rape? Yes. I understand that that's what he said in the video. That is optically bad too, which has always been Mr. Girl's thing, okay? The problem I've got with it is, does that then mean we would go and say that Max is like a pedophile, or, any of the other things that people say about Max? Like, I don't know. That's the other problem I've got, because I think that there's some people who are out there saying, well, Mr. Girl's a pedophile, and is that analysis changing too? Like, are there people out there who originally didn't think he's a pedophile and are now saying he's a pedophile? I don't think Destiny's saying that, but I think that would also be bad too if that was happening.
Let me address something inside of my chat. Irrelevant. Calling what MrGirl did not rape requires you to believe he's an empath, and there's an ambiguous look that a woman can give that she is saying she wasn't ready. That requires a lot of good faith. His actions in every social situation, even with Shaylin, clearly shows that Max is pretty trash at doing that, or at the very least respecting somebody's boundaries. That isn't the thing that we're trying to prove, or the thing that I would need to substantiate. The thing I would need to substantiate is that you don't have enough evidence to say that he is a rapist. Right? The affirmative claim that he is a rapist is different than my claim, which is you don't have enough information to say he is a rapist. It could be that by all intent and purposes, if we're just normal fucking human beings, that it wouldn't fit many of our reasonable interpretations of rape. The claim that he is a rapist needs to be substantiated. You can't. I reject the idea that social interpretation means you're a rapist. So. And I mean, that's literally what we would do. So, yeah.
Sure. So people are saying in my chat, Destiny said. Yeah, I know what Destiny said. I watched it, you fucking retards. And I don't agree with his fucking framing of it. Okay? There we go. Simple.
Destiny changed. Sorry, my bad.
No,
I
no,
thought
you go.
excuse me.
What are you going to say?
So somebody's in my chat said Destiny changed his stance to say Max is rapey. What do you feel about that, Chud? Cherry, if you want, if you hang out till after this is done, I'll talk to you after this.
Sure. I mean, I guess maybe rapey, you could say. That's like a softer thing. You still got the word rape in there, I guess. I don't know, man. Sure, maybe.
Yeah,
we can...
I'd have to think about it myself as well.
But I just don't understand why we need to have this analysis now. Why is it so important that now we have this analysis about whether Max is a rapist or not, when this is something that has been discussed, dissected, and talked about already? Like, it just
it's also not relevant to any of the claims being made right now. Like, let's say genuinely Max is a rapist. What does that have to do with whether or not Destiny is an abuser? Because that's what he's trying to look into, right? Is whether or not Destiny is a sexual abuser. I guess you could say it's hypocritical, but that's not indicative of him doing a poor job at looking into the thing. So
yeah. I mean, I've got a perspective about that, just to put it out there quickly, that if you are claiming that you are the abuse victim of someone, I don't think it's really correct that you investigate abuse claims against that person. Like the journalist that exposed Harvey Weinstein wasn't a victim of Harvey Weinstein, so he was able to effectively investigate what had happened. So I think that's in itself an issue. But like the rapist thing, that doesn't seem to be relevant to any of the discussion about what Max is doing. It seems that Destiny is kind of reassessing his perspective on it based on the fact that Max is not, in his mind, being charitable to him. That's my read of that.
So let me just double off of something, because there seems to be people that are confused inside of my chat. I'm not saying Max is not a rapist definitively. What if I did, I misspoke. What I'm saying is that we don't have the evidence to prove that he is. And I believe that if we sit down reasonably, we can't just go, oh yeah, he's a rapist. I don't think we have the evidence to show that. That is my claim, right? You are making a very strong affirmative claim off of very, very limited evidence. I'm not saying he's definitely innocent. It's obvious he's innocent. What I'm saying is that you people are making an affirmative claim that he is a rapist. He raped somebody. That requires more evidence than I believe what we have. And I don't think we would apply this to other situations that are comparable. I think that, so I think it's a miss. I think it's an L. All right. But, and anyway, it's, again, not even, it has nothing
Anyway,
to
listen,
do
mate,
with
we're not being white blood
claims,
cells.
yeah.
We're not being white blood cells.
Exactly.
We're supposed to be white blood cells right now and just agree and defend everything Destiny says. So we need to move on before we get too berated. Destiny's going to watch this later and then he's going to destroy our careers. So we've got to quickly move on, okay?
Yeah. My paycheck is falling right now.
Let's go. Exactly. This wasn't in the script I got from Destiny. What are you doing right now? Cease. Okay,
man, I'm sorry, I'm off script, dude.
Okay, so here we go. Max comes on to assert he wasn't going behind Stephen's back as a backstab, but because Anna had told him they were still sexting, it was abusive, and he wanted to know what else Stephen has been doing. Because Max also knows about Stephen's secret, because Max has heard what everyone has heard about Stephen being notorious, he's experienced his own emotional detachment and abuse from Stephen, and he wants to make sure a man he called his friend is not serially abusing women. He uses the public information that Anna came forward about a week earlier on a stream that they're still sexting and sexual, and reminds Stephen of why he's questioning women. Okay, I'll just read this because this is all about this situation. Anna, who has spent days detailing carefully Stephen's abuse of her, too scared to leave his side. She does a 180 and lies about Max manipulating her into giving a story to absolve her of any wrongdoing. She gets to be the victim. I was on that call. She never said no. She had spent hours prior giving her consent, reading out text messages. She was excited to come forward with this information because she finally thought she had a team assembled who cared about her, but the reception was bad and she froze. And she went back on what she knew, Stephen. So she gets to be a victim. She says Max manipulated her, and Stephen welcomes her with open arms because now Max is the enemy. Max is the evil.
I had a really big issue with how Lav and MrGirl brought up Anna during the bridge burning lead up subreddit drama between MrGirl and Destiny. I had a really big issue where it felt like Lav brought up Anna without having the full context of like the Anna story and the Anna history. And it felt like Lav was just bringing her up to use her as one of Destiny's. I think at that point, it wasn't a sexual abuse argument. It was a social abuse argument that he was abusing the Orbiters. And then that Lav had brought Anna up as like a a chip to play in that argument. I had a really big issue with it because I felt like she or MrGirl didn't have the needed context to be able to understand like what they were doing in that moment and how fucked up that was to do, to just drop that at that grenade on Steven's lap during that conversation. And I feel like this statement and her the consequences of Anna's 180 on Lav and shit like that is proof of my statement at the time being absolutely correct. That if you knew if you knew the greater context of Anna and what she and how her arcs have played out, I think Lav even being somewhat surprised at Anna's 180 and her quote unquote lies in about Max's manipulation, because I have no idea as to the validity of those statements towards Anna. She wouldn't have been surprised about them because she is not a credible character witness. Anna is not a credible character witness, and she was used by Lav and MrGirl consistently as a credible character witness against Steven. And so when Anna turned around, it was like, hey, by the way, actually Max is a manipulative one. Like, you have no sympathy for me because you just wanted to get people that you think would push your narrative without even looking into their past. So I thought it was pretty cringe.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is like, because I guess there's a couple of things there. So there's this narrative or this story that like Anna isn't reliable, right? Anna's got these issues, etc., etc. This is something that I've kind of accepted and agree and I'm on board with, based on like seeing the looping, seeing some of the content about it without going into it in detail. The issue is the claim in response to that is, well, that's because Anna's credibility has specifically been destroyed. And then this is then used against other women to like diminish their credibility if they were ever to come out. So how do you respond to that?
I see that. That is a good point. I think that her credibility has been destroyed, but not in a malicious or unintentional way. I think that her credibility, I've seen how her credibility has been destroyed. You could say that it's been egged on or to some degree manufactured, but if you look at the full context of her interactions, I don't think anybody can honestly and earnestly tell me that she doesn't flip-flop on some of the things that she has said in the past, some of the things that like the implications that she's drawn and then gone back on them very consistently. There was the whole like Steven stealthing thing, went back on it. I don't want to dig up old stuff. It's part of the reason why I don't like talking about Anna, because I feel like any of these statements could cause her to loop. And that's the last thing that I want. I don't want to cause her mental distress, nor do I want to cause Steven mental distress. But I believe the chess speaks for itself. If you look at her past, I think the chess speaks for itself.
The other issue as well is like, as much as we can be critical of what we perceive to be Steven's actions with Anna, there's two sides to that, and I don't think, like, as much as Anna maybe has got some mental health issues or whatever, I don't think, as much as people say this, she's literally a retarded child. Like, she was on Zonya's stream yesterday, and she seemed, or the day before yesterday, she seemed pretty coherent. Like, she seemed kind of on it. I don't know. To me, she seemed like she was giving a fairly cognizant representation of what was going on. So, like, my point there is that she's calling Destiny an abuser and then sexting him. Like, so there's two aspects to that. You know, there's a very toxic dynamic that potentially is happening there. So, you know, I just think that, like, a lot of this seems to be coming from very unreliable actors, you know, including like with Max himself. And what I mean by that is Max is saying he is the victim of this abuse whilst investigating this abuse. I know that I made this point before, but that to me is just a massive conflict of interest. And I can't think of a situation where someone who is the victim of alleged misconduct goes and investigates the misconduct. In businesses, you have HR departments to deal with investigations. Police obviously are separate. If someone had some sort of relationship to someone that was being investigated, normally you would have to claim that and you would have to take a step away because it's not appropriate for you to do so. And I think that the thing is, it's not just like that's an issue in and of itself. If you look at the way that Max was approaching, I would be very critical of that too. In terms of saying, it's almost, I can't remember the exact words, but it's like, I'm a victim of emotional abuse of Stephen. And
yeah, that was literally what he said, yeah.
Right? And he's not saying this explicitly, but you are automatically then saying, well, are you an emotional abuse or are you an abuse victim too? Let's talk about it. You're kind of like putting the cart before the horse and you're letting the narrative lead you rather than letting the truth lead you to the narrative.
So, yeah, I think he literally said that with, at least in the message to Eris that he had sent, instead of the public thing. And there was something entirely else about it being in public. That dynamic was terrible to me. The message that he sent to Eris, because when you send a message like, I'm a emotional abuse victim of Destiny, and I'm reaching out to people that have been dogpiled by his community, like you. Like when you put a message like that out in public, and they're like, "Hey, if you want to get back to me, DM me," it puts them in a terrible situation where if they don't DM you and they don't get in contact with you, it looks like you're scared of Steven's dogpiling community. But and obviously if you do reach out to him, then it also looks like you're like saying that he did like emotionally or sexually abuse you. So it kind of puts you in a fucked situation to even have that be added at you in public. So I took issue with that. But I want to hear from you then, Chud Logic. If you were the victim, let's say you are a victim of Stephen in his emotional abuse, but nobody else wanted to help you make a document or some kind, gather evidence to be able to do it, you couldn't find somebody else to author it, then do you agree with the idea that somebody in Mr. Girl's position could be able to do it himself?
I think, well, someone in chat sort of said this, right? And they said, oh, well, people that are victims of abuse go and just investigate all the time. That's not true. What normally happens is you might be the victim of abuse, and then independently someone else comes forward. And then independent of that, someone else comes forward. And then independent of that, someone else comes forward. And if you are like, the chief abused, or like you feel like you're able to, you will just collate the stories that are out there into like one thing or one aspect, right? That's normally what happens. And even in cases like that, there might be a third party, like say, the boyfriend of one of the people that's been abused, that will help to collate those stories. That's what happened in the Mama Max allegations, is that a number of women were talking about it and it all got collated into one thing. It wasn't like someone was going around to every person that Mama Max has dealt with and saying, have you been abused? Have you been abused? Have you been abused? I've never seen or heard of an investigation like this or of this nature before, and particularly not one where someone is presenting themselves as a victim of abuse and saying, essentially, have you been abused, right?
Yeah, no, that's usually the case. What I'm asking is whether or not if you cannot find somebody else to do the collection of that information.
Oh, I see.
Do you have to pay somebody or can you do it yourself? Because I'm imagining that if Mr. Girl was in this conversation right now, he would say nobody wants to collect this information. Nobody can be trusted to do it or whatever. And so that's why he would say he has to do it.
Sorry. I mean, I guess if there's literally no one else or nothing else you can do or nothing else you can think of, and you are the only possible person that can do it, I think that you need to do due diligence. You need to be very careful in how you go about it. You need to be very open-ended. You need to make sure you're not having any bias in there. You need to make sure that your primary focus is what is the truth? What is the actual truth? So, that would probably look like open-ended questions, like not necessarily alluding to certain things or like maybe leading people. Like there's a thing of like leading a witness, right? Like I don't know what it actually looks like from a legal sense or exactly, but if you say certain things to people, it can lead their thought process into certain conclusions, right? So yeah, I just think that there's a level of caution required there, and you should absolutely maybe, you know, seek assistance of a third party just to give you a bit of a sense check and make sure that, you know, you're not doing anything that's going to be completely crazy or out there. I think speaking to the Harvey Weinstein guy is fine. I don't have a problem with that in and of itself. The problem is it came a week after it should have done. Like, you know, I think that seeking advice from people who have got knowledge on this stuff, I think that's okay. Like, what's the, you know, if it was genuinely an open-ended question, here's some things I've got, what do you think? That would be okay. If you were going to people going, hey, I wanted to talk to you about some of your experience with Steve and I'm making a video about it, I think that would be okay. I don't think that there's a way you can do it. I don't think there's no way you can do it. But like, you know, I feel like there's been this kind of bull in the china shop mentality, right? And it's like, you know, I just look at it and think you've gone to this like a bull in a china shop and there's mess everywhere. And to a degree, it feels like I've got to sort of defend the mess you've made in some way. I feel like some sort of loyalty to do that, but I can't. I can't defend some of the shit that's happened. You know, the only thing I would say is that although I've seen messages which show like negligence on the part of Max, in my opinion, and maybe some other things, I'm not seeing this. I don't. Maybe you disagree. I've not seen this kind of malice that people keep talking about, or like something like that. It seems to me like Max feels like he's been hurt and he's going about it in the wrong way. That's my perception of it. Admittedly, maybe I'm biased, but that's my perception. Sorry.
Well, malice takes a lot. No, it's good. Malice takes a lot to prove for me in a lot of situations, or just somebody being stupid, like, haha, I hate Destiny, so I'm gonna make up a story about him, right? Like that's never gonna happen. But malice usually takes quite a bit to prove because you have to build a whole character assessment of somebody that has the most reasonable interpretation of all of their actions being that they just want to get at this person. And I think a lot of Mr. Girl's actions can just come down to him being upset or sorry, when he's we're talking about his failings or him not properly approaching some of these people to get statements from, him being upset or him not fully understanding how you should approach people, or there a lot of his actions can be explained away very reasonably outside of malice. I haven't seen anything yet that is like, yeah, this guy's clearly just doing this that way he can ruin Destiny's life. I haven't seen anything.
And that's the thing, because people in chat are kicking off a little bit. When I say malice, we had this problem, I think, before the cherry thing. When I say malice, I'll be more clear about what I mean, okay? What I mean is that Mr. Girl has set out solely with the intent in his head of, I am going to destroy Destiny, and I'm going to do everything that I can to destroy Destiny purely because I want to destroy Destiny. That's what I mean when I say malice, okay? Just to be clear. So, you know, yes, I agree. And this is why I think sometimes when you're looking at words, it can really fuck up what you're trying to explain. The same with the abuse thing. You know, be clear about the action and what it is that you don't like, rather than just coming up with a word to describe what could be interpreted in a number of different ways. You know, I think that this is wrong, but I don't think that I see this, right? I don't know. That's my basic thing that I'm trying to say there.
Okay. I think we've been stalling enough.
Okay. Let me. Yeah. I'll be honest. I wanted that out. I wanted it so bad. I'd already spent hours getting harassed by DGG, seeing what the subreddit was saying. I was useless, evil, disgusting. This hit my mom wound. I'm so scared of being these things. I wanted to take solace in the out Steve gave me. I wanted to be a victim of Max so bad. I wanted to avoid the dog pile and go back to my epic highs and lows of debating on Steven's channel.
Favorite Lucozade flavor, Chud?
The attention, the lights, the in-group, I wanted it. I wanted to curl up next to Steven and repeat how bad Max was. I wanted safety from the avalanche that would inevitably come. But I knew I couldn't, because I knew he abused Anna, I knew he lied to his wife, and I'm a feminist. It's what built my Are you laughing at that?
No.
Okay. It's what I built my platform on. I don't associate with abusive men, and I won't keep their secrets. Okay, what do you think of that?
I'm a feminist, bro. I think it's based. I think it's based, bro. I could have said it better myself. I just so just kind of maybe not a rhetorical thing, but just kind of a like a I wish there was a little bit more clarification, and but I feel like I can intuit what they mean when they say, like, I wanted to avoid the dogpile and go back to my epic highs and lows of debating on Steven's channel, the attention, the lights, the in group, I wanted it. Wasn't a part of the original statement that that's what caused a massive decline in our mental health? Was the highs and lows of Steven's debates and on the channels and stuff, and that so it's like she said, because I know earlier she said she wanted it, but also didn't want the like consequences of it. But so like maybe that's what she means when she says she wants to go back to it, but she stated earlier she didn't want to go back to it. So I don't know. That's just a clarification thing, not
But
an actual point. Um Everything that was read there just to me says that this person can't healthily engage with this, and it's for the best that they just don't really do it. Like this, it just doesn't seem healthy. Like if you came up to me in private, Chud, and you were telling me stuff like this, like, oh, I want to be on Steven's side so bad, so that way I can like curl up next to him emotional or like intellectually, and then just do this. I'd be like, bro, you need to. Are you good? Um, and probably just tell you to take a step back. I feel like this is where you get the team sports kind of mentality or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't think this is a healthy engagement with
Welcome to Chud
politics.
Nation.
This is like,
Believe all women.
yeah, you should be doing this with like your local football team, not whether or not a fucking political commentator.
Yeah, oh man, I just feel okay. I feel like sometimes people get really wrapped up in this stuff, and for me, as someone that's deemed like an orbiter or whatever I'm called, like maybe it's because I've not had sex with Steven, but I just don't fucking get this at all. Like I feel like there's so much fucking projection that happens onto me from people that are making these claims.
Welcome
that
to Chud
I'm
Nation.
trapped in it.
Believe all
I
the
feel this
Yeah.
too. All this stuff. You probably get it too, and it's like, no, I fucking don't. Stop telling me what's what. Yes, I'm obviously cautious about stating things that I can't prove without evidence against a big creator because that could fuck me. But beyond that, I'm not like entrapped in fucking Destiny's spell. It's insane. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I felt that a lot when I heard Max talk during the original bridge burning thing, where he's like, "This is abusive. Your orbiters don't like this." It's like, don't speak on my behalf. Unlike that one, like I'm over here and I'm perfectly fine with like when I say something stupid, 50 people coming at me, frothing at the mouth, ready to tell me why I said what I said was stupid. I like that. I enjoy that dynamic because I want as many people to give me the way that I look at it. The more people that I have give me input, the higher chance that I have to get more valuable input in most situations, right? And that's part of the reason why I went into the debate space. It's because I can't just go, well, obviously Chud Logic's always going to have the right take. Obviously Dario is always going to have the right take. Obviously Cherry's always going to have the right take. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to
Believe
put
all
myself
women.
into these situations where I
Destiny is
know
guilty
that
and
if I
need
say
Dr.
something
Drew
that
and
somebody
Dr. K.
agrees with or disagrees with something, they're going to come in and they're going to be like, this is why you're wrong. This is why you're right. And I can hear them out and I can listen to this. But when I hear other people say that's abusive, that's okay. It might be abusive. You might feel like that's abusive towards you, but don't do that for me. I don't feel restricted by this. I feel fucking vindicated and like it feels great for me to be inside of this environment. This is the kind of environment that I'm knowingly, consciously want to be in. And so it feels very, very cringe to hear people say, like, well, you're confused, you're wrapped up in this spell that if you speak out against the herd, then you're gonna get dogpiled. Cool. Then you don't know like who I am or my history of like jumping into discords full of 14 communists that disagree with me so that way I can have a disagreement with all of them in rapid fire. Like this is something that it's just made for some people and it's not made for others. It's just the way that I view it.
Yeah, yeah, I like fighting and having fun with chat and saying, some shit that sounds crazy and maybe there's a point there and people get annoyed or, having a contentious opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I hate it when people put this on me. I don't feel like this at all. And I would imagine there's women that have slept with Stephen that don't feel this either. So are we saying they're all abused and they don't realise it? Are they all battered wives protecting their husband after the 50th black eye? Like, that just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, that's really weird and that's really tough. That's why I didn't like how explicitly Mr. Girl approached Eris in public. Is because that puts her in a position where she like that I thought that was a terrible position to put Eris in. Was putting that message out there for that reason, because it, like, what an optical nightmare of how that works. So I agree that you shouldn't do this to people.
Okay, so at this point, I didn't think Stephen was really a sociopath. I didn't think he was doing it on purpose. How could I? Stephen had been kind to me. He's a charming, likable guy. I messaged him saying I thought you needed to get help, see a therapist. Maybe it was sex addiction. Maybe he was stuck in his relationship. Maybe it was intrapersonal. I called him after his I'm Nuclear stream, and he gaslit me for 2 hours straight. Assured he checked in on me. Did everything he could to be a good friend, assured me he was an incredible friend. He checked on me once. I said I was okay, so really it was actually my fault. I've been manipulating him because I told him I was okay to get back on stream. Of course I did. Who wouldn't? I'd sobbed on that stream, made a diary entry. He'd acknowledged I wasn't fit for stream, yet he'd say a day later my spiral's good content. Everyone has a piece of the responsibility pie. What I find annoying about this stuff is she left the panel that she was on, which was much calmer, much more relaxed, not the same sort of contention, not the same sort of audience that she could have happily stayed on, but she left that to chuck herself willingly into the frying pan. I just don't get it. How can you willingly leave a panel? How can you fucking rapid fire leave a panel to go to Destiny's stream and then act like this about it? It just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. You choose to make that engagement a lot of the time. Am I missing something?
No, I think it's just a personal responsibility access not being talked about enough. I think that's genuinely a failing of people like me, and this is what I was talking about earlier with the conversations that have been happening about the black issues, where there's several different people coming on Destiny stream talking about how all we discuss is systemic issues or issues of people with more power. We do not talk enough about personal responsibility that you have to keep yourself safe, to make sure that you yourself,
I don't understand why
because
Destiny is
everybody's
so mad
different.
that Max
You
was asking
yourself
questions
might
offline when he
engage
interviewed
with a
Cherry
community
about the
in an
boob
unhealthy
allegations
way
with
that is
LOL.
toxic, but it's not the big owner of the platform's fault. It might actually be your fault because you're somebody who is not able to healthily engage with that, and you need to recognize that and remove yourself from that situation. So I actually think that, like, people like me have a fair role to play in this kind of a problem by not putting some measure, talking about the personal accountability people have to getting themselves out of situations like this, because I think that's just the problem. It's just people are like expecting Destiny to solve that problem of how they feel about the engagement towards from the debate space towards them, when they're the anomaly, they're the odd one out, and in fact they should probably just not engage with the community in the way they're doing it.
Okay, so he repeated, I didn't deserve his charitability. He was just so charitable and such a good friend. I was crazy, but I didn't have to be. And I still had a chance to be in his good graces if I denounced Max. Okay, I just want to pause here. I have yet to see, maybe I'm going to pause Andy here and it's at the end. I have yet to see a single screenshot that verifies any of this information.
I'm sorry, what information specifically?
Well, okay, so there's a claim here, I think. Oh, wait, hang on. Is this in the conversation? This is in a call, right? I mean, well, first of all, why would you not record the conversation on your end? That's fucking insane. And also, we're missing out on a juicy piece of content, so more for you. But secondly, in response to some of the other claims that are being made about these DMs, apparently Destiny's deleted all his DMs with Max and Lav now, but I think that's a recent development. Right?
Okay.
But why before that have we not seen any DMs between, say, Lav and Destiny? Why has Lav not come out and or at least recorded screenshots so she could put in this and say, look at all this crazy shit Destiny's been saying to me? Like, there's claims that are being made of things Destiny has said in DMs that aren't verified when they're being said in this document. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that I mean, there's some people that just don't think to do it. Now, granted, here's the issue. There's kind of almost like they want to have their cake and eat it too, kind of a thing, where they're saying throughout the entire process they got super weird vibes. They felt like he was like they were on edge and they were super sus of him. But you're right, they never took a picture of any of the logs or any of this. So it kind of leads more towards the conclusion that it wasn't super sus, it wasn't super weird at the beginning, and that maybe later they thought back on some of the things that was super sus and super weird. But it feels like the characterization is that, oh yeah, Destiny was like this weirdo even from like minute, what did it say in the first conversation, told me the career ending secret, right? But you didn't take any pictures, you didn't record anything, you didn't do any of that, and you were getting these career ending secrets, and you felt like he was really weird and sus at the beginning. It's just kind of bizarre. So yeah, it's not like fully, it's not enough for me to say it's unreasonable, because it is reasonable for them to go like, oh, I don't really think much of this. It is kind of weird. But I think the way that they're characterizing it in this document is not indicative to, even from their own perspective, what happened in reality. There's no way.
Okay.
My opinion.
Okay, sorry. Stop fucking linking me stuff in chat. I'm getting distracted, okay?
What are they? Are they clips?
No, just fucking, I don't know. I guess DGG chat are watching or something. I don't fucking know. But it looks
I
funny.
could only imagine, yeah.
Anyway, listen. Stop fucking RTBA. Just chill out, okay? We're just having a good time here. We're trying to demolish women and you're distracting us from our goal. Right, let me just go on to the next bit, okay? Fucking where is it? Okay, I've got it. I know where it is. I know where it is. I've got it. Chill out. Listen, mate, I'm fucking reading all of this to save you the fucking asshole. So chill out. Right, here we go. He said I needed help, that if I just woke up, I'd see everything Max was saying was a lie, and I nodded and stopped at the thought. The golden out, my solace. And lastly, he brought up the secret I told him, out of nowhere, so out of place in the conversation. The secret I told him when he told me his secret, told me it would ruin me, how bad I'd look. He'd worked it in. I'm not going to be blackmailed. Okay. So this is the Hasan thing. So she's claiming then that Destiny was basically saying, you've told me a secret. If you don't ally with me, I'm going to release it and destroy you. Am I understanding that right from your perspective?
I don't know. I think that's what's happening. You said
okay.
So yeah, they traded nukes. Is that what happened?
Well, is it okay? Is the secret the Hasan Piker thing? Because if it's the Hasan Piker thing, she talked about that in my fucking Discord like 2 months ago. So how is she saying this is some fucking big secret that she told him when she's talking about it in my fucking Discord? Someone link the screenshot. Someone link the screenshot of Lav saying it in my Discord. Please, go on.
So Lav isn't the only one advertising her private platforms. Shit, even Chud's advertising his Discord right now.
Yeah, getting spicy, chat. If you want the real juice, let's fucking go. Okay, right, what's this?
Cloud sharks.
Hasan Piker slept with my very young friend when he was not so young. It was legal, but he's denounced men publicly for doing much less. I don't care about it, and she's never going to come forward, but the fact exists nonetheless. An example of hypocrisy. Another person's hypocrisy is gold to a streamer, a shiny weapon. I was armed. Nothing will come of it. Ethically, it is a small infraction, and it won't be held over my head. Is this the...
Wait,
have I got this right? Is this the secret?
Who cares?
Is this the secret? I don't understand. Or is it something else? Maybe I've got it wrong. Anyway, we can get to the Hasan thing in a sec. Sorry, please continue.
Wait, who cares? Wait, was this... Is this it?
I don't know. I don't understand. I just popped off about it. I don't even know if what I'm saying is right. Okay. Right. Okay, first of all, listen.
I feel bad
obviously,
for Hasan. Why the fuck is he getting thrown in here?
Hasan's getting dragged into this, whether he likes it or
what
not.
the
Okay?
hell?
Fuck it. Anyway, sorry. I don't know. I presume this is a secret she told him? I don't fucking know. Is it? Does anyone fucking know? Only Lav knows, and we can't bring her on. She probably doesn't want to come on. She's taking a break.
As the resident Hasan hater, okay? I didn't know about this. Then again, I don't give a fuck about relationships. Somebody tells me Hasan slept with this chick. I'm like, bro, water is wet. What are you talking? Like, I don't.
I think she was 17 and he was in his early 20s allegedly, and like it was in California or something. The thing is, okay, right, let's fucking call it what it is, okay? So first of all, here's Lav saying it in my Discord. So if it is the secret, I don't know if it's that much of a secret, honestly.
Okay. Okay, so wait. Wait. That is actually really important, what you just said. Legitimately. If she did say it inside of your Discord, but here she is saying that like this was a secret, that means that this secret that she's apparently been holding or whatever, she's representing it now as this secret that she was holding, but she was actually never really holding it that way, unless I guess your Discord is the honeypot of truth.
Listen, if you've got a secret, don't put it in spicy chat. That is getting leaked in fucking seconds, okay?
So I kind of want to reread the preface to this. He repeated, "I didn't deserve territory. He was just so terrible, but I didn't understand him. But still, a chance of good graces. He said I needed help, and that if I woke up with everything would have been." And lastly, he brought up the secret I told him. The secret I told him when he told me his secret. I told me it would ruin me, how bad I'd look. He'd worked it in. I'm not going to be blackmailed.
Okay.
What?
I'm presuming the Hasan thing is the secret that she told Destiny. I think.
Yeah, I'm with Dario. I don't know how this would ruin Lav. Somebody linked me a clip. She brought it up on stream as well.
Okay. Anyway, forget that. It's obviously unclear. This is obviously written by a woman, so obviously it's a bit incoherent. But okay, let's just talk about this for a second, okay? Right? Regardless of whether or not this is the secret she was told and whether whoever into my Discord therefore controverts what's being said here. Put that aside for 1 second. Lav is making what a lot of people will consider to be a very fucking serious claim about Hasan with no fucking evidence whatsoever.
Correct.
That is fucking insane to me. Like, what the fuck, man? That is, like, well out of pocket. Not out of character for Lav. We know this is her fucking whole thing, right? But Jesus Christ, how can you do this? Like, I don't know, it's mental to me.
Well, the problem is I don't understand why. That's so like I don't understand so it's from her. So I'm trying to do what we did before, where it was like, you know, the reason why she brought up the Melina secret or whatever thing was because she was trying to build the narrative that, you know, Destiny likes humiliating women. Why is it because she was
Welcome to Chud Nation.
He doesn't want to be how could this be used to blackmail Lav? I don't know. I like so with the information, I agree with you. Why is Hasan even being brought up under this context? Like this is I feel so bad for Hasan in this moment. I hope every single person watching should know this means absolutely nothing. This should change absolutely nothing until or if there is hard evidence or something that comes forward. This means nothing. Hasan slept with a chick that was younger than him. Wow, crazy.
And also, there's people that talk about the age of consent thing. So RTBA, this is something I can't verify right now. I'm not sure. But if I were to take his word for it, let the record show Hasan was in a state that has an age of consent of 16 when he was 24 at university.
Okay. Oh, so it's like a big age gap. It's like a um wasn't Call Me Carson fucking targeted for doing a 17 to 19 thing, wasn't he? Like harassed for that, and then that's what this is trying to avoid? Is that what the point is
Okay,
supposed to be?
I just want to clarify. So I was a bit uncertain, but it is correct, based on my understanding of affairs, that this is the secret that Lav told Destiny that Lav felt Destiny was holding over her. So, first of all, why would this be like something he could hold over you? And secondly, if you feel that Destiny is holding it over you, why the fuck are you putting it in my Discord, let alone what other Discords you've put it in?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any fucking
kinda,
sense.
yeah, that's kind of the point that I was putting back over. Like, that's why I said it was really important if she put it in your Discord. If she did put it in your Discord, and this is legitimately the secret, she cannot claim that she felt like she was being blackmailed by it because she told other people about it. You can't be like, oh, I'm so afraid Steven's going to blackmail me with information, and then just tell people in a public Discord about that kind of information. So that's why I think it's very important as to whether or not it's the secret in question.
If I told someone a secret and I felt that they were holding that over me or felt they had the ability to, I would not go and tell other people because I would consider it in some way damaging or harmful to me. That doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Like if you had a document that showed that I wear tidy whities all the time, and you know you had that information on me, and it could destroy my career as it would and as it should, then I would naturally never want to tell anybody about that because I'm afraid that it would ruin my career. It would ruin my career. So why would I be saying it in public discords? Doesn't make any sense. Something doesn't match up there. So yeah, just to be clear, if it is the secret and the thing that was dropped inside of your Discord, then I don't believe she's either lying about feeling like she was being blackmailed, or she is just misrepresenting this in some way, shape, or form, or confused or something. Because it just doesn't make sense. You don't disclose your own blackmail in a public Discord and then later claim that you're afraid when it would come out.
No. I mean, right to Barham's, just a final comment on this and we'll move on. So, for the record, I directly asked Hasan about this. When she said it said it in your Discord, Lav is lying about the woman's age. I know who the woman is. She wasn't 17 like the Discord message said. She was 20 when Hasan was 24. So there is that too. But hey who, Looney Lav lies, don't care about the truth. I disavow the Looney Lav comment. However, thank you for the information. Now, obviously, there's no evidence I've been provided with, but if you wanted to prove to me that A, Hasan slept with someone that was 17 when he was 24, and B, it was in a state in which that would have been illegal, you need to present evidence to me, and then maybe I would comment on it further. But other than that, that's all I've got to say on that. Aside from what
I just want to say, fucking sucks that he got dragged into a situation he had nothing to do with. It's just really unfortunate. Really fucking sucks that happened. Yeah, he didn't deserve that, to just get sniped from orbit like that.
Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Let's move on. Okay. I tried to get Max and Steven to talk in the call. Max begrudgingly came. Steven refused to say anything. Called him a rapist again. And Max left with his integrity, having done me the favour of joining the call because he could see I was desperately trying to fix the mess. And Steven had typed, "She's self-harming, help come quick," and so Max had come quickly to see if it were true.
You good?
I'm thinking about women self-harming, and it's a terrible tragedy. Women self-harming is a terrible tragedy.
Oh my god, you are so fucking cringe, dude.
What do you mean? It's your listen.
God.
I'm not.
My
okay.
POV had to be the best for that. You just stopped. I thought you like Corona had got you or something. You were like confident. Oh my god, dude.
I just look. Let's just say okay. I'd heard about this, and obviously, yeah, it's. Okay, the bait and switch is funny. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Okay, the idea that you would say to someone, Get in here. Someone's about to fucking top themselves. And you get in and it's just a beta switch. Okay. I shouldn't be laughing. I can't help it. It is what it is, okay? Right. Okay. And Stephen at times she's self-harming, help come quick. And so Max had come quickly to see if it were true. Stephen just laughed at how stupid it was for Max to care if I was cutting myself on this VC at all. Unbeknownst to me while on the call, he'd be writing to DGG, I'm saving the Lav bridge. He tells me out loud, I can't believe I'm having a 40k viewer conversation offline. So obviously, always thinking about the content. I disavow, obviously. You know, I'm not about that life. I try to chuckle at the moment. No, not at all. I try to chuckle at the moment, then I redirect. And then assures DGG, unbeknownst to me, maybe I can get her on tomorrow. I just told him the chances of me coming on in the next months were 0, but maybe after one-on-one, I'd just said this. He knew I wasn't coming on, and he hadn't discussed with me that he was relaying this information to DGG. But he only exists on these streams. His community is him. He doesn't want to have to go B&B station anymore. He's checked out. He's tried to convince me Max is manipulating me and thinks it's worked. We hang up. Okay. Any comment on this? Do I need to keep going? Talk for a second.
I don't really know it. It feels like a lot of this is a private conversation that I would need more information to be able to give anything tangible for. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So, next up, so he tells me out loud, I can't believe I'm having okay, we read this already. So we may be getting some testimony from one of the parties involved. Okay.
What are you talking about?
Sorry. I'm getting some testimony from a third involved party. You just need to bear with me while I'm getting that through. So, okay.
That's fine.
Whilst I'm waiting for that, I'll read the next segment. I woke up the next morning to see Anna had taken out. It was the safer option, but it had made me so angry. I'd started to believe Stephen was the good guy, because how couldn't he have been? He'd platformed me, so new to the game, I didn't deserve it. He'd met up with me and was sweet, albeit a bit detached. But Max was a good guy. And I could swear he wasn't manipulating me, and Anna had spun this web out of control. I was so angry at Anna. I thought she'd sold me something. Stephen reassured me she was crazy and looping the night before, and he forgave her, and could forgive me if I too just denounced Max. So, let me just read this this direct testimony from one Stephen Burnell II. Just to clarify, Stephen has messaged me this, so take from that what you will. I will simply read what he has said. Can I enter my testimony? Lamau. Melina was listening to me the entire time. I'm being 100% honest. They can leak a call if they say I'm lying. Lav was begging for Max to join the call the entire time because she needed her daddy there to talk to me. He finally joined at the end and was fucking silent for like 10 minutes. He would only speak to say, Lav, this isn't a good idea. Lav, we shouldn't talk to him. Lav, there's no reason to talk to him about this. Then he fucking dipped. Lamafau. I never, ever told her to denounce Max. I told her that she could do whatever she wants with him. She's free to talk to him or whatever. Lamafau. This is 99%. This is like 99% lies. So that is Destiny's testimony there. I just wanted that on the record, okay?
I want it on the record that he messaged the white person, not the black person. Go ahead.
More trustworthy, obviously.
Yeah, he's had too many black people in his stream too recently. He's got to balance out the energies.
Exactly. Okay. So now I start to be mentioned a bit, apparently. So let's see what this says. Max assured me this is exactly how an abused woman acts. I Google it because I don't trust him. 4,000 people are telling me I'm a pawn in Max's game. I'm skeptical of Max. I should not have publicly trashed her, and I should have not have gone on that panel in the emotional state I was in. I went on Chud's panel after being gaslit by Stephen. Again, I shouldn't have. Because I did not have it correct. I hadn't spoken to my therapist in a week. I'm getting mounds and mounds of shit and hate pummeled at me. I just wanted to make it better. I just wanted everyone to be better. I couldn't believe Anna had lied. After all the ways she called Stephen evil, I couldn't believe she'd repledge allegiance. I wanted to make everything better. I got off Chud's stream after a desperate plea to the audience to leave my loved ones alone. It only emboldened them, and watch Stephen stream to self-harm. So my understanding is this is in relation to following the revelations about Stephen and Lav. Lav's husband received messages calling him a cuck, and I believe Lav said that her husband was probably the most like negatively affected people in all of this, I believe, if I remember correctly, or something along those
And
lines.
I think about who is actually being hurt the most by me coming forward with this information is my fiance, who's now being called a cuck. People are messaging him crazy shit. People are being so fucking mean to this person who has no fucking stake in this stupid drama whatsoever. So now I've hurt someone that I love by coming forward with all this shit. It's all fucking horrible.
Well, I don't know, because this is this a lot of this was it had to do with your stream, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna just be honest, dude. Your stream has been a thunderdome for this shit for a long time. I haven't been able to keep up, so you're gonna have all the info that you're gonna have a lot more info than me.
I've got to be honest with you. I was mainly paying attention to how I could make more money. I can't really remember what was said, so I was busy resetting the bars, obviously, and running as many fucking ads as I could. But I was watching back a little bit of Destiny's coverage. I saw some of your coverage. I even saw Andrew Wilson, Big Papa Fascist, talking about it, which was the most misogynistic takes, which was an interesting angle. He basically just called all the women skanks. So I've kind of seen this from a few different angles. I probably need to watch a feminist perspective to really balance it out. Look, I said it before, buyer beware. I don't know how else to put it. Like, if you come on my show, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a fucking shit fight. It's going to be drama. If you're not in the right mental state to do that, I don't have a psychologist on hand to really assess that. It's got to be on you. And if you don't perform well, it's going to end up on YouTube. If you perform well or don't perform well, it could or could not end up on YouTube. A panel of that attention is always going to end up on YouTube because it's going to get a lot of views, which is going to mean a lot of ad revenue. And I don't really know how else to manage my stream without that in place, if that makes sense. So this idea that she shouldn't have come on and stuff like that, I'm sympathetic to that. But unfortunately, if you step into the ring of fire, you may get burnt.
Yeah, that just goes back to the personal accountability thing. If you don't want that kind of an environment, you're an adult, right? You're not 12 years old. You can make that decision.
Yeah, I think that people just, they want the attention, they want the clout, but they don't want any of the negative blowback if something goes wrong. And it's like...
you want the ability to defend yourself. You want the ability to set the record straight, but the consequences or the things that come with that is that there are people paying attention to what you're saying and are being intent with it, because you cannot have both. You can't get on a platform and try and vindicate or corroborate a narrative and not also have the ability for people to be critical of what you're saying, because otherwise you just have people being sycophants and just agreeing with what you say just because you do that or whatever, which is bad, obviously. So
I feel like it's a bit like you go to the casino and you play blackjack, but you've got the option to throw back any cards but a king and an ace. As in, like, you want to be able to come on and fucking say your shit and have a blowout and destroy everyone, and that goes on YouTube. But if you come out and you embarrass yourself, you don't want that to go on YouTube. Well, unfortunately, you don't get to fucking choose that, Okay. So, moving on. Actually, that message wasn't from Destiny, to clarify, okay? Right, sorry. What's that?
No, nothing. I was just a ad lib or whatever. Whoa.
Okay, no worries. Okay. I got off Steven's... Okay, I really want to... Any bolder than I watched Steven stream to self-harm. I'm watching Kyla literally do whatever she can to gain favour in some way. I was in the same way I was incentivized to on stream. I've known the feeling of in-group signalling. I've known my place in this machine. I've been Kyla. There is a weak orbiter. You need to solidify your place. I did this with Max. Remind the audience you're there and you're good and you're here to stay. This is such fucking projection. I don't experience this as someone that's got some level of association with that community. I just don't fucking experience this at all. Where is this coming from?
Yeah, something I can shake hands with them about is I know what they're appealing to. I can, if let's say I wanted to say Destiny was the biggest piece of shit in the world right now on my stream, would it negatively impact my career long term? Probably. I don't know. Some people have definitely made a career off of it, but almost certainly, right? I can break bread with that, right? That it'll probably negatively impact my ability to do whatever. That doesn't mean that my principles are being compromised. So when I see this about Kyla, right? Show me where her argument is poor that directly comes from being incentivized by destiny, right? Where is her argument that she is making that is bad, that is clearly coming from a financial incentive? Show it to me. The issue is the association at all is being used as, or that dynamic at all is being used as a argument that she is necessarily compromised whenever you want her to be compromised. But when Kyla agrees with you, that's when she's base. But when she disagrees with you, then she's intellectually compromised. I hate this dynamic. Just point to me the argument that you're specifically talking about, and then we can work with it.
Also, I'm pretty sure that Kyla on the stream was like giving a lot of criticism to Destiny for the Anna stuff, if I remember correctly. So, you know, I think that there's this idea that it's like everything is positive and everything, you know, Destiny is the main character and everything you say about him is true and base and he's so amazing. And I just don't think that's true. And I think any fear that I've got of, like, say, coming on stream and calling Destiny a giga rapist is not because I'm scared of Steven. It's because I'm scared of saying something that's wrong and getting the onslaught of a big community, which is kind of fair enough. Like, you know, and this is the other point too. These sometimes small creators want to take these pokes at a big creator, and then the big creator goes, "You're talking a lot of shit, fuck you." That leads to some blowback, and they complain. But they've not substantiated it, they've not proven it, they just said a bunch of crazy shit. So yeah, I just reject a lot of this analysis as, I don't know, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Okay. Stephen is still blasé. Stephen sits there watching me on Chud Logic's panel and can't... this is awful. I can't believe it. I can't believe he did this. And calmly chuckles at my tears and sobs. Jesus Christ. He chuckles. He laughs. Despite the conversation we'd had the night before, he enjoys the content I create. He enjoys my implosion. Stop laughing! I'm not fucking laughing. There's no
way she put women's ults in this fucking document, bro.
Stop it!
There's no way.
Okay, no, this isn't funny, mate.
Women's ults. Yo, dude.
But by the way, listen, at first I thought the old thing's kind of funny, but it could be seen as misogynistic, right? Whenever a dude cries, they get accused of ulting too. If it's a big muscly guy, he might get called a giga chad, but normally people are like, oh, Jesus. Like that fucking True Geordie guy was apologising for saying about Andrew Tate being a bomber because he's a Muslim. And when he apologised, he started crying. And everyone in my chat was going, oh, because it was so ridiculous. I think generally the point is, it's like, you know, you're obviously crying at something which seems absurd or silly. I don't know. Maybe if a woman genuinely cried on stream, they might get accused of ulting or something, probably. But like... What do you think?
Okay, so this women ulting thing, I think that is kind of a thing. Like, listen, man, I don't know, maybe it's just me or whatever, but women definitely have a unique relationship with ulting when it comes to the culture of what that is. Because like that is a woman's ult. Like when a woman cries, like niggas die. Like people can literally get killed. So like that is a woman's ult. Is when a woman cries, like everything flips on its head, right? Somebody who was accountable is no longer accountable. The whole situation flips over when a woman starts crying. So woman ulting on that one is like, yeah, no, that comes from that comes from a real place. Woman cries, shit happens.
I think that actually calling out a woman's ulting is actually anti-racist because of how white women's tears have been weaponized in the past against black men.
Yes, thank you, my white savior. True.
No problem, brother. You got it. Okay.
Wait, was that a brother? Did I hear an A?
Yeah, that was an A.
Did I hear an A?
That was an A.
I'll let that one slide.
Okay. So he drags me through the mud. My stocks burn to the ground. My stocks are gone. By the way, if anyone doesn't realise, yeah, those stocks are a fun game, but like they're not real. It's not real money. You don't need to take it that seriously.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Yeah, that
Wait,
is.
really? I gave somebody like $500.
I gave someone money to manipulate the market. What? Okay. My worth, my wealth, decimated. I am unworthy of humanness. Kyla speaks. She is better than me. She is smarter. She is more put together. She is wiser and older. And best of all, the audience loves her. I've been constantly reminded, even by her, a multitude of times. And she goes off on a tangent, and Stephen is not even listening. She may realise this is happening. I don't know if you're familiar with Watchmen, but this sounds like when the blue guy, Dr. Manhattan, is relaying the last 20 years of what's happened, and he's talking about it in real time, and he's seeing it all happen at once. The way she's describing this is really weird. He moves the conversation without giving her the validation she needs. She stays silent until it's her turn to perform again. ABBA comes on. Oh, pointing out the black man coming on, typical. He's right, victory lap. He was right all along. He says, I get to shine, and he does so bright. And it burns. Kyla takes the stage again. She wants to share the stage. She wants to shine. She wants to share. Kyla says Stephen is simply too likable. That is his problem. His response? Cringe. Stephen is the victim. I'm reminded of how small and silly this world is. This very small place Stephen can control. It's his. He calls himself a sociopath 4 times, and his orbiters jump to empathy. No, you're not a sociopath. You're just hurt. You're just so hurt. Please, just admit you actually are upset by this. I'm so sorry this has happened to you again. You can't trust anyone. You're too forgiving. Isn't she one of the people that's fucking backstabbing him? I don't know. What? As she's stabbing him, I'm sorry about this. This must feel terrible for you. What the fuck?
I'm trying to figure out what the moral of that fucking haiku poem was. Whatever the fuck you want to call that. I'm trying to, so that way I can just be honest with. So the point is supposed to be that it's all a performance made for Destiny to stay always in like good graces, right? That everybody, that we all play our role, we all just kind of bolster Destiny's image, and when we don't, we get cast aside like Lav, right? That's supposed to be the narrative, I think, this is, right? I think that was what the point of that was. Okay. Especially with the comment about the earlier smaller community thing. I think that's weird because this is actually a very small way of looking at it, because if you blow it up to the greater landscape, there is a lot of really big people that really don't like Destiny and want his public image destroyed. If you look at
sorry, I just want to say I think I've got the analysis a bit wrong there. Okay. So I want to. I'll hold my L proudly. I think what she's actually referring to is other people going on to stream and saying this about Steva, not her. She is on this, obviously, what she's thinking. It's other people that are going on, and they're saying, "You're just hurt. You're so hurt. Please admit you're upset. I'm sorry this happened to you. You can't trust anyone. You're too forgiven. You're too forgiving." I think this is other people that are saying this to Stephen. But obviously, as I say, it's very incoherent. I didn't understand that.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting that the implication is supposed to be that Stephen like can trust people, and in that there's yeah. So then the implication would be that no, you're not a sociopath. The implication would be that he is a sociopath, that he isn't just hurt. I'm so sorry this happened to you, that it isn't regrettable that it happened to him, and that he can trust people, and that he isn't too forgiving. He's just like vindictive or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it seems like even in the context of this document, he trusted people. He trusted her with like a secret. She let that secret out. Which apparently is supposed to be the Melina thing. I have no idea about the validity or anything with that. I don't know enough about their personal lives to do that. But like, it seems like even in this document, there's reason to believe that probably shouldn't be telling people like personal shit about your life unless you want that public.
In this arena, yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
what is in DMs is going to get leaked at some point. But the problem is, I would even say, like, if you trust someone, maybe. But even if you trust someone, that can fucking change, and that can end up coming out, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. So let me speak to what I think is the greater point of this section, which is that we're, again, the same point that constantly gets brought up, that we're just a bunch of performers meant to substantiate Destiny's character. Again, this is a very small. This is like a small. We're looking at the solar system and a greater galaxy. Um, the idea that there isn't substantially larger communities that are trying to actively, in many of these situations, destroy Destiny's credibility is bizarre to me. And even if, that is agreed upon, and the idea is that we orbiters are out here like white blood cells protecting Destiny's credibility, you have to recognize that there might be some kind of a difference in opinion, right? Because I feel like that's what I'm trying to do to Lav here, is break bread where there can realistically be a difference of opinion. But I don't feel like that's given back towards me or other orbiters. Is we are not allowed to agree with Steven. We're not. Otherwise, we're sycophants. We have to disagree with Steven, because if we agree with him, we're the white blood cells. So I just want to be given the breathing room to be able to say that I have my own opinions, even if it happens to consistently overlap with Steven, because it also consistently overlaps with smaller content creators like Wicked Supreme, with content creators like IRI, with you, Chud. It constantly overlaps with you guys, but we don't get that same criticism because you guys aren't as big as Steven. I'm not as big as Steven. So when people agree with me, it's not that we're sycophants. It's just we're agreeing. But when we agree with Steven, we're like lap dogs. I don't like that, man. It doesn't feel nice.
Yeah, fucking, it's annoying. And one of the most frustrating things, and I see this constantly when I happen to see people talking about me, which, I try and avoid because who gives a shit what random schizos say about you on the internet. But it's like the dismissal of your perspective. Oh, this person's just a Destiny orbiter or something like that. It's like, I feel this is what happens here. Your perspective is immediately dismissed. And here it's even more potent because it's like, not only are you a Destiny orbiter, you're also being abused by him, and you're trapped in it. Like, and then if you contest, well, a battered wife will defend their partner. And it just seems so fucking crazy to me that that's the perspective. But what can you do?
And just for anybody that says that we we might be looping on this point, because we are looping on this point. The reason why is because it is a recurring narrative throughout the entire throughout the entire disagreement, let alone the document, is that we can't have our opinions because we're sycophants. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to have my opinion shut down before even the merits are heard by other people, just because of the proximity that I have to another individual.
And yeah, I think my final thing is on this particular point is like, if you are like an orbiter or thinking of becoming an orbiter or whatever, don't be fully reliant on fucking Steven then. Go and branch off and do your own thing. Obviously, you sometimes it can affect your viewership, but of course it's going to. Of course, if you've got crossover, people might not watch you as much, but you can still build your own thing and do your own thing. Both you and I have had times where we've gone and done something that is nothing to do with Destiny and totally unrelated, and we still managed to sustain ourselves and whatnot, right? I mean, I don't know. That's my perspective.
Yeah, no, it's definitely my perspective. Obviously, there's an incentive to. I mean, there's even an incentive for me to talk about people I'm not engaged with, larger streamers I'm not engaged with, right? Like me and you. Like when I talk about Hasan, I get more viewers.
Yeah, of course.
I'm definitely not engaged with Hasan's community in a similar way, or liked in a similar way that I am with DGG. But that. I recognize
it's the drama cycle.
The
it's the tides of drama. Whatever the big drama is, you talk about, and sometimes it will be someone you're more closely associated with. Other times it will be someone like Hasan that I don't know at all, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and if it's like if you don't want that association, you don't have to have it. There's people like, Gappy, who has an association with DGG, comes in through DGG, but he doesn't make all of it or even the majority of his content about like DGG drama or anything like that. He plays video games. He has a good time. He's, doing whatever. He has less of an attachment. I don't know exactly why. Maybe he just finds that for whatever. But what I'm saying is that there's people that can moderate their levels of attachment to the community based on what they want out of the community and why they're engaging with it.
So this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is the final point on this, and this is the final thing I say about all that analysis, right? You're not going to feed yourself a diet that can sustain you from sucking one person's dick. You may survive for a little while off of the protein from someone's cum if you suck their dick enough, okay? But at some point, you got to take the dick out of your mouth and go and find another source of fucking food, okay? That's it. Right, let's finish this fucking document. What's the rest of this shit? Okay, he makes excuses for Max now. He schmoozes. He masturbates to his audience. He gets to have empathy for Max. He is the victor. He is the guy. He is God. Max is Judas, but Steven has empathy for Judas. He ejaculates his empathy into the audience.
Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Is this sexual harassment?
This reminds me of that, what was that black fella's name? I can't remember his name. You know the guy.
Whoa.
No, it's relevant because
that
it's the
black fella?
Yes, I get you. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
Do that black fella?
Yeah, the emotional ejaculate guy. You know the one I'm talking about.
No, I don't. That's kind of weird.
If I'd have just
guy, hey, Chud, do you know of that white guy?
No, wait, you don't understand. I'm not saying that to you because you're black. I'm not saying you know every black person.
I wasn't even talking about it from that angle, Chud.
I'm saying
it's a weird.
I'm saying it because everyone knows who I mean because it is the weird black guy that raps. Okay, that sounds bad too. But no, it's he was on that panel. No, he was on that panel and he said emotional ejaculate. You remember that guy, the Heart of a Lion guy?
As much as I love pulling your balls, I do not actually know what you're talking. I genuinely
don't. There was this guy.
I genuinely
It was actually, do you know what? It was the first time me and Destiny appeared on a piece of content together. Okay, it was back in 2020. It was a panel. It was a Prime Kai panel.
Wake the Beast?
Wake the Beast. That's it. Yeah. You know the guy?
Because he's now I do. Yeah. That guy. Yeah. Funny enough, he actually does rap, and he raps really well. Like you weren't just being racist. I'm proud of you, Chud.
Thanks, mate. Anyway, the point is, this has been a long-winded thing to say. He made this joke to me about emotional ejaculate and dunked on me for putting emotional ejaculate on him, and it was funny. That was it, okay? Now, anyway, let's get back to this.
What a funny joke from my white friend, Chud Logic.
Okay, Abba asks Steven, almost on the money, so close. He asks why he uses us as entertainment. But somehow it's not Steven's fault, not his responsibility. It can't be. It is Max's, it is mine. Abba says it's Max and I's fault. We're bad people. We're bad people for wanting to use the big opportunity we've been given by a big streamer with no boundaries. Steven is just too good. And I cannot speak. I won't. I'm already burned, already scolded. Nothing I say is correct. I live in delusion. My narrative is up in the air. I can say nothing. I watch horrified. Stevens reminds Kyla he is a sociopath and she does not believe him. And he even calls her Kyra, the wrong name. Steven explains to Kyla how he uses us for content and Kyla does not listen to him or tell her who he is. He is telling her who he is and she does not hear them. He said it again, he is a sociopath, he doesn't care about this, she does not believe him. I wonder what would happen if a friend were to ask him what he'd done wrong. Okay, is there any comment on this so far? I mean, there's a lot here.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
So is this when like Destiny says that like, oh yeah, dude, I'm a sociopath and stuff like that? So from my perspective, a lot of the times that I've heard it, he said it as a meme. I don't know, but also, this is going to be unique for me, perhaps compared to other orbiters. I don't know what the fuck any of you mean when you use any psych term. I have no fucking clue what any of you are talking about when you say, because people be like, oh, you have BPD, you're narcissistic, you're gaslighting, and what you really mean is you're being rude to me. I don't know what any of this means. I'm not qualified on what any of this fucking means. So when people say shit like this, I'm just assuming you're being hyperbolic, and what you really mean is somebody's being rude, or when somebody calls another person a sociopath, what they mean is they're being like cold or something like that. I have no idea what any of you fucking mean. So this legitimately, to Lav's credit, could actually go over my head. Steven could straight up look me in the eye, grab me by the shoulders and go, I am a sociopath. And I would just assume that he's just kind of memeing, because I have no fucking clue. And it feels like it's been, all of these psych turns have been beaten into the fucking dirt and dust. Like, I have no idea what the fuck this means.
Well, I think the problem is there's like a psychological true thing or whatever, like a true definition of it. But then it just gets used in a very common parlance. So yeah, if someone says they're a sociopath, unless they've got a diagnosis from the doctor that says that, normally I would just presume they mean, yeah, they're kind of cold and shut off in their interactions, or they don't demonstrate caring about other people, or something like that maybe, or they don't care about other people as like a meme.
Right.
But
I don't think that's intrinsically bad until I see that as manifesting in a negative way. Like, you could say, like, yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty cold or cut off towards people. And until I see that come out in what I would consider to be an unethical or abusive way, I don't really care. You can be cold to people, you can be mean, you can be rude to people. I don't really care. What I care about is when it's like, you know, emotionally manipulative or something like that, right?
yeah, sure. Okay, there's a lot more. We're nearly done though, okay? And then, I mean, we've done a pretty good job covering this, I think. Pretty robust, I would say. Okay, so he calls Max a narcissist. For a year, he's groaned about armchair psychiatry and peer diagnosis. It doesn't pertain, not to Max. Stephen knows what Max is. Kyla scrambles to tell Stephen he's a good person deep down and needs better friends and richness. And Stephen calls her a Max, a weapon. He says she's mind raping him, that he is just this person he just doesn't feel. Kyla goes silent, shot dead with Max bullets. Max, who was one of his closest friends a week before. Is this based on an interaction that was had on stream? Do you know anything about this?
I don't know. This is the first time here. Kyla goes silent. He says she's been mind raping him, and that he is just a good person. He just doesn't.
I think what she's doing is she's saying, well, look at Kyla. I see what happened to me happening to Kyla. Like, Kyla is getting abused and I can see it now, I think is what's being said, right?
Yeah, I can't really tell what's happening there. But I want to make a statement about he calls Max a narcissist for a year. He's groaned about armchair psychiatry and peer diagnosis. It doesn't pertain not to Max. Steven knows what Max is. So this is clearly a statement of like, oh, Steven complains about armchair psychology, yet weaponizes it against Max. I'm sure that this has happened. He's slipped, or maybe not slipped, maybe just straight up said some shit. Like he said that what is Destiny said? That MrGirl is, well, he said the rapist. Did he say abuse? He said manipulator, right? He said he was a narcissist, right? And all these things, right? And I would say the same thing to Steven. Yeah, I don't think we should be using these terms. I don't think anybody who really uses these has the qualifications to be able to use them. I agree that just because other people use them doesn't mean we should use them. Like, I'm not going to call MrGirl a narcissist, even if he fits it by my understanding of these things, because I think it dilutes it to an absurd point when we use it in this culture. I think nobody should be using these things in this manner without independent shit. So yeah, I would say that, yeah, Destiny probably shouldn't be calling him a narcissist. MrGirl shouldn't be calling Destiny a narcissist. But I think it is weird that she is using Destiny's point of armchair psychiatry and going, yeah, he brings up this, yet calls her a narcissist. Yeah, but you also like are using this throughout the entire document. You're using armchair psychology throughout the entire document. So is it just supposed to be bad because he's a hypocrite, or is it supposed to be bad because armchair psychiatry is bad? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I think the best thing to do is, and you know, one of my most trusted advocates, Creeman, has said this a number of times, but it's point out the behavior that you don't like. You know, using a catch-all term can actually make it, it's simple, but it can make it more confusing. this is the behavior, this is why I think it's bad, or whatever. I think that's probably the most straightforward thing you can do.
Yep.
So yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so he promises for a third day in a row to new call mention of me. He doesn't. The engagement is too good. He doesn't. Kelly Jean says she wound me up on purpose. Can I just speak about Kelly Jean for a second? Kelly Jean, I think...
Base person, by the way.
And we have had our fucking disagreements with her, right? We've had arguments with her
Yeah, we
about
have,
shit.
yeah.
But it seems like she will say some shit, right? But she accepts the full consequence of that and is like, yeah, bring it on, you incel fucks. And I think that's kind of based, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I've seen those interactions. Like, I saw her engage with you as well, where she was like, there was like 3, 4, 5 different people, you know, arguing against some of her points. And she would, you know, sit there and take the arguments. That was what she did. And I thought that was really respectable, is that, you know, well, she obviously thought she was in the right on some of these points. She was willing to fight. She knew where she was. She knew why she came into your Discord or whatever Discord, and she knew she was an adult and she knew what she was getting herself into, which was, I'm going to come in here. There's going to be people that disagree with me. This is a place where if people disagree with you, they're going to talk about it. And so we're going to talk about it. And that's what she did. Right. Yeah, she was just kind of an adult about it. It was really cool about how that worked. But
yeah,
I'm assuming
she's a very contentious person, right? You know, she goes at people, but then when they come back, she doesn't cry about it. I don't know. That to me is like what it should be like, right? I don't know. If you're going to be controversial, you're going to call controversy. That's it.
Yep.
She knew it would be easy after I cried on stream. She knows I'm spiraling. She likes it because I exploded on her in a panel and I have differing views on sex work. So I am no longer human. She said she'd think it was fun. Kyla, the psychology buff, laughs. Steven laughs. Everyone laughs. Then there's a half-hearted sigh of disappointment and they move on. I message Max sobbing. He is his usual self, caring. Then when I need him, but vaguely distant because he knows I don't trust him, and he doesn't want our narratives to get mixed up when we're both emotional. He is hyper-aware of the manipulative narcissist label that's been hurled at him. He wants to keep us both safe. Shaylin asks if I'm eating. Max mostly just tells me to write how I feel. What the fuck? What is going on? What is this? This sounds weird.
Yeah, that bit sounds weird. I want to go back to the top bit here with the Kelly Jean stuff to just address it real fast.
Sure. Go on.
Where Kelly Jean says she wound me up on purpose. She knew it'd be easy after I cried on stream. I want it noted that I'm no longer human. She is engaging in a public disagreement with Kelly Jean and is saying like, I think this is just her victimizing herself here. She engaged in a public disagreement with Kelly Jean where Kelly Jean, got heated with her. And she's trying to say that like, poor me, I'm no longer human in this interaction when she knew she was in that environment. She knew the risks of being in that environment and what were the positive and negative outcomes. Like, it's exactly what we talked about before. You knew where you are. You're an adult. You know that you're going to get shit for talking shit. So I don't think you can say play the victim in this sense. Like, I don't think you can. I think that's inappropriate.
Yeah, this thing about the going to Max, this sounds to me like there's two people who feel victimized and feel like they're victims of this abuse, and they're like, you know, looking for each other as a shoulder to cry on and gassing each other up based on how it's presented here. And I think the fundamental problem here for me is I don't think that Max nor Lav have been abused by Steven directly. This is the biggest issue and disagreement in all of this, is that I just don't see any of this as like Steven abusing them. Are there dynamics of his community that are fucking annoying and will come at you and it'll piss you off? Yeah, obviously. There's some of the autists that even come from me if I don't say something exactly fucking right. But I'll just deal with that and I'll just say fuck off if I want to tell them to fuck off, or clarify if I think I need to clarify.
I mean, we've been doing it the whole stream pretty much, right? Where there's people that'll come in and say that we're making a point that we're not, or that'll try and clarify, like want clarity on the same point we've clarified like 8-10 times before or whatever, right? shit, that gets annoying, but like that's a part of the territory. If our words are going to hold as much weight as we want them to hold, because me and you do want our words to hold some weight and some merit, we do need to be beholden to those kind of guidelines, for the purpose of being public figures.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I just while they think they perceive that they've been abused, I don't perceive that as abuse. But then we enter, I don't know what the fucking correct term is, but it's almost like this thing of like, well, I don't see it because I'm trapped in it and I'm being abused. So how can I see that it's abuse? But that just seems like a thought terminating cliche at that point, because if I can't have if any opinion I have is colored by me being abused, well then it just means I can't have an opinion unless I agree with you. Like that sounds insane to me. I don't, how does that even fucking work?
I was just linked a clip of Lav apparently calling, according to the chatter, Lav calling Kelly Jean a whore. So I'm gonna listen to this real quick. It was on your stream. Do you remember this?
Was I playing Apex at the time? Probably not. Maybe
Apex too much.
I can't remember.
Right, let me go over this real quick. It's 20 seconds.
Okay.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know how you could count yourself as the victim when you're saying Kelly Jean is an attention-seeking, clout-sharking whore. Jesus. That is a hell of a rip she just put wit into Kelly Jean for.
Welcome to Chud Nation.
While also claiming she's the victim. Yeah, excuse me. Remember, feminist, by the way. Feminist, by the way.
I know, yeah, that's classic feminism, calling another woman a whore. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And saying that she has nothing to offer except for her saying, "Oh, I have big boobs," is what she said as well. So yeah, classist feminist W. Yep, there it is. Sorry, we can keep going with that.
Okay.
Thank you for that clip, by the way.
I do. I write this. I look back up at Steven's stream. Okay, this is. I'm just going to read the last of this now, and we'll wrap this up. And last, Steven reads a text from Anna. Anna laughs at me. She jokes about me and Max. We are crazy. I am crazy. But now, I am Anna, and she laughs and Steven laughs, and the stream chat roars with favour for her. I'm reminded of the text she sent Steven in those screenshots. Your community likes me now. She is safe, and the chat fills. Anna stocks her up. I know Stephen will see this and continue the hurl. He'll go over the poorly made hit piece, lying about every personal aspect of my life. The one made by a self-proclaimed white supremacist. The one who said my heart condition is really just a meth overdose. She's referencing the video that this person called Sick made that came out recently about her.
I haven't watched that yet, so...
Okay. I'd recommend it personally. Yeah. He'll try to do everything he can to discredit me and Max. He already called Max a rapist. I wonder what he'll call me. I won't be listening to hear it. What's he got to discredit? I'll fall into oblivion with my fiancé and his cats. His platform will get bigger. I've gone over every detail in that video. I'd never levied a false rape allegation. I've never had a GoFundMe scam. I go over this. I made a statement in my announcement on my Discord. This is years old fake news, but it's shiny, it's new, it fits the narrative that I'm evil. I get it. I watch those videos. They're fun. I hope Steven enjoys it. I hope everyone here enjoys it. But I am free. The cycle continues, but I am not in it. Finn.
I just want to get your thing real quick. I've gone over every detail in that video. I've never levied false rape allegations. I've never had a GoFundMe scam. In your opinion, is that true? That she never did any of those things?
Well,
like, what's your takeaway from that video?
Well, with the false rape allegations, I think that I need to rewatch that segment because I didn't understand it the first time round. I'm probably going to watch it again after this. I think that what happened was there were claims made that weren't meaningfully substantiated. Okay, and it was like one of those situations where people sort of came forward and claims were made, and I don't know if there was the due diligence to like verify those claims as such. So I need to clarify before I come down either side. In terms of the GoFundMe scam, it seemed like she'd asked for this money for this operation, but perhaps didn't truly need the money, is the simplest way I can put it. So, you know, maybe calling it like a scam is excessive, but certainly there are question marks around how
Yeah.
necessary the money truly was, right? That's what I would say to that. But,
Interesting.
I don't want to come down too strongly on the side of the video, just because it's really out there for anyone to watch, and you can sort of watch it and come to your own conclusion, and that's probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Hey, what's your thought on the doc overall, buddy?
it started off strong. In all seriousness, I think she was taking a break, talking about how online social dynamics work. Yeah, I was kind of down with all of that, but it just pivoted into like weird territory, making these kind of broad claims about like being an orbiter, stuff that happened that she's putting all on Steven's shoulders when like she had some responsibility in it. Obviously we voiced some criticisms of Steven and maybe points we disagree with Steven on in certain aspects of this. So, there's that. But I think that broadly, this doesn't really meet the mark. And also, biggest thing of all, not a single screenshot or a scrap of evidence to prove any of the fucking claims she makes. She may not be able to prove the voice calls. Where's the screenshots of DMs? Where's anything in this? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest point for me. I'm not sure why there isn't one person that any of these people are talking to that tells them to get screenshots. It's just really bizarre to me why they haven't been told to get screenshots of this over and over again. But that's obviously the number one advice I would give to anybody. If you think there's some kind of misconduct going on, get evidence, hard evidence, screenshots, recordings, anything you can get your hands on. So yeah, that is a bit weird. Honestly, bro, I take out of all of this, it may be weird, dude. I feel the most fucked for Hasan in this, bro. Like, just absolute fucking like casualty of war. No reason to be brought up in this. I'm still upset about that. I really am. Yeah, I'm still upset about that one for sure.
Well, I mean, this is the thing that frustrates me. If there was evidence that Hasan was doing some sexual crime, I'd be fucking obviously like, let's fucking go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yep. But like, I'm not gonna. This is crazy to make a claim that you are no way evidencing. It's mental, and it's like so dangerous, and it just ends up discrediting people that do come forward, that do make the effort to substantiate what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, and it's. I feel like it's a clear display that they haven't learned their lesson for how claims should be investigated. So when they say things like, when we talk about like the care that's needed to come forward about the abuse allegations for Destiny, right? And they're saying they've seen evidence, they've seen this, they know that it's like there. It makes your side of that argument look considerably worse when you're just like throwing shit like that Hasan thing out there with no evidence. It's like, well, is this really the type of person that I'm going to rely on for making well thought out, well articulated arguments for why sexual abuse is happening in DGG if they're willing to just, oh yeah, by the way, Hasan did that? Like, that's just out of pocket. It's inappropriate. It really frustrates me that it's just completely nothing. Just he got thrown into this. It's very frustrating to see somebody get caught in the crossfire for no reason.
Yeah. And I guess my final thought is a lot of this can be attributed to the normal dynamics that you see in online space, streaming. None of this is really normal. There's a lot of weird shit that happens. And I think that if you want to make the claim that, say, Destiny's community or anyone's community is uniquely bad in this, I think you would need to provide some evidence to show that. And that's still where I stand, is I've not seen enough to come down on the conclusion that Steven is uniquely utilizing his audience to abuse people. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if you are going to do that, please try and this genuinely, if you want to make the argument that people like me and Chud and other orbiters are really, really not seeing something that is the case, don't just say we're not seeing it because of Destiny's clout. Give an actual argument that you want to be able to come back against. And this is in earnest if you genuinely want to make the argument, because it's not it's not going to do anybody any favors outside of like digging people into their respective sides unless you give something tangible to us. Because imagine if you gave something tangible to us that me and Chud were like overlooking, maybe insidiously overlooking. We look like clowns because we're now running with our like chickens with our heads cut off, trying to justify why something is the case that is actually material, right? Like, I don't know, us overlooking something that Destiny did. And it's like now we're put in a really bad situation because we have to confront it. So if you
Well,
don't
this
just
is
say it.
we look at it live on stream. You get a live
Yep.
reaction, and if Destiny is saying, "Listen, sweetheart, I want to bring you on stream, but you're fucking retarded." Sorry, remedial. I know DGG you're watching. You're remedial. If you want to get on stream, you got to show me a pussy, or even something maybe
Yeah.
getting close to that. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, okay, there's not really much I can say about this. It's kind of fucked, and that's it.
Yeah, and then you catch us quote unquote with our pants down. So if you want that, bring that to us, and then so that way, even at the very least, that way we can show you that we're not those kinds of people. Because I don't believe we are. I know if we see something like that, we'll call it out. But the only way for us to prove that to you is for you to give us the opportunity to. So yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else?
No, brother. I love your beautiful voice. That's why you
Thanks,
read most of this. My chat wanted to do it. I didn't want to fuck up your mojo or anything, so I was a little bit hesitant to do it. I think it worked out. I think you're a great guy. I have nothing but good things to say about you. You know that. My chat knows that. So I'm happy this happened. I'm happy we did this.
I'm happy too, mate. I think it went really well, and I appreciate you coming on. And I'll see you soon.
All right. Absolutely, brother. Talk to you later.
Catch you
Bye.
later, mate. Bye-bye.